6-5 Media presents a Studio Demands It script reading of Mystery Inc. and the Threshold of Chaos. Written by T.C. DeWitt and Jim Berzelic, starring the vocal talents of Travis Joe Dixon, Joy Regulano, Brent Rose, Danny Scott, Chase Hofer, Renee Michelle Aranda, T.C. DeWitt, and Scott Woodard. Stage directions read by Jim Berzelic. Over Black. We live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity, and it was not meant that we should voyage far. H.P. Lovecraft. There's a very logical explanation for all of this. Velma Dinkley. Fade in. Exterior Coolsville, Ohio, morning. The sun rises over the Midwestern hamlet. Homes, a park, the shopping mall, a hospital, a large bottling facility at the edge of town. The camera moves to reveal the university. Exterior campus, day. Students walk through the quad to and from class. The voice of Professor Jenkins is heard, mid-lecture. During his monologue, we swoop through the campus.
And today we embark on a profound exploration of the double-slit experiment and its implications for our understanding of reality.
The camera approaches a girl pushing a cart with a sheet covering machinery. Velma Dinkley, 17, short, focused, adjusts her glasses as she navigates around other students.
Excuse me, pardon me, my apologies.
Velma pushes through a trio of girls on the path.
Coming through, thank you.
One of the girls, Thorn, turns and jogs to catch up to her.
Hey, Velma, your shoe's untied.
Velma looks down automatically. Her glasses fall right off her face. Thorn catches them with a smile and holds them up for her girlfriend.
Haha, very funny.
Thorn tries to lift the sheet off the device, but Velma slaps her hand away as they continue down the path.
What are you doing?
Putting her glasses back on.
Yes, hello, Thorn. I'm bringing my newest design to the lab, obviously.
Oh, is this why you get up so early? I thought you were going to actually make it on time to class for once.
I'm going after I drop this off.
Velma, I don't mean to mother hen you, but class started an hour ago.
He's just covering the basics of theoretical physics. I've known that since second year at Feynman Middle School for Advanced Youngsters.
You went to school with youngsters in the title?
Velma continues down the path, leaving Thorn behind.
Hey, my band's playing the activities fair later. Come check us out.
Velma gives a wave but keeps moving. The camera swoops toward a campus political gathering in the main court.
At the forefront of quantum mechanics, the double-slit experiment serves as the cornerstone in unraveling the mysterious behavior of particles, challenging classical notions and beckoning us to reconsider the very fabric of the universe.
Standing on the stage at a lectern are two candidates for student body president. The taller of the two, broad-shouldered and handsome, is Fred Jones, 19.
As your president, I can promise you that I will give every part of myself to this university. I will live and breathe for you, my fellow students. There is nothing more important to me than what is best for the university. For this entire town, for that matter. I was born here, and I've lived my whole life here.
You mean your whole life so far?
The small crowd of interested students chuckle. At the other mic is Fred's rival, Red Flamme, a smarmy, slicked hair jock who just oozes my father energy.
Yes, thank you, Red.
Do you really want another smooth-talking leader with nothing but promises and no action? We all know who gets things done around here, right? We all know who's bringing the kicks. I mean, community together over at Beta Zeta Beta House.
That's right.
The crowd cheers. Red grins at Fred and winks.
Who do you all really want leading this school? Red or fake Red? Red!
Fake Red?
It's right there in your name, Fred. F. Red. Actually, that's even better. F you, Fred.
The crowd laughs and cheers.
Well, actually, you would be the F you, Red. You're a... Damn it.
He's lost the crowd. The camera swoops on, leaving the disappointed Fred behind.
In the simplest form, the double-slit experiment involves firing particles one at a time toward a barrier with two slits. The particles will act one way when you're looking at them and another when you're not. Observing the experiment changes what the energy does.
Interior frat house morning. A scuzzy fraternity house. Braden, a dude bro, is snoring on the tattered couch in the main room as a pair of slender legs walk past him. We hear the snap of pics on a phone.
As you can see, these geniuses put a nice big sign above their scheme's whiteboard. Test answers for cash.
Huh? Hey, who are you? Daphne Blake, 19, red hair, and dressed in a fabulous sequenced outfit, perfect for a night out at the club.
It's cool. I'm with Deacon.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
Daphne films the board.
Prepare for the fall of the House of Zeta, Coolsville. Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake is only getting started.
Hey, wait a minute! Deacon, another frat boy, charges into the living room in a bathrobe.
Daphne, what the hell?
Daphne flips her camera to get a shot of the dude.
Behold, the creeper himself, chapter president Deacon Carswell. Any comments to my viewers about your illegal activity?
This is bullshit. You gotta leave.
It's fine. I've got everything I need.
Exterior frat house. Moments later, Daphne struts from the house, Deacon on her heels.
Daphne, goddammit, I thought we had like a great night. Why are you doing this?
You're the one selling test answers to freshman Deacon. I'm just going to expose you.
It's not even illegal. We checked.
The law may not take issue, but the dean might see things differently.
Deacon makes a move for her phone, grabbing Daphne by the arm.
Help! This boy is grabbing me without permission! You want me to play damsel? I can play damsel. Try me.
Deacon, let's go.
No touching.
Daphne flips her hair and struts away, her heels catching in a crack on the walkway, and she stumbles.
Ow! God damn it!
She keeps her balance and tosses a quick comment over her shoulder.
These aren't my heels.
She hurries away, leaving the frat boy fuming.
One of the most intriguing aspects of the experiment is the concept of quantum superposition, the key feature of quantum mechanics, embodying the notion that particles can exist in multiple states at once.
Interior lecture hall day. Professor Jenkins, 50s, bespectacled, dry, paces before a room full of students with diagrams behind him, illustrating his points.
Only upon measurement does the wave function collapse, forcing the particles to adopt a specific position or state.
Most of the students are listening or taking notes, but one student is face down in his book, gently snoring. At his feet, underneath the desk, is a sleeping Great Dane, also gently snoring. He has on a service animal vest. The professor strolls up the steps of the hall.
Your first group project is to create the double slit experiment in as many variations as you can come up with and record your results. And as we'll be observing curves of light, I think it's all too obvious that I should grade you on a curve.
Some of the class chuckle at his nerdy joke. Jenkins stops at the sleeping student, frowning down at him. He picks up the textbook beside the kid.
I'm sure all of you will take this assignment seriously, as it will be the entire foundation for the rest of the semester.
Wham! Jenkins slams the textbook down on the table.
Zoinks!
Shaggy Rogers, 18, jolts awake and flies backwards out of his chair. Scooby, the dog at his feet, also awakens.
Class dismissed.
The students gather their belongings and make their way out of the classroom. Jenkins looks down at Shaggy, Scooby licking the young guy's face.
Mr. Rogers, when you emailed me about bringing your emotional support dog, I imagined something a bit more compact. What service does this animal provide?
He's like my emotional support buddy! Aren't you, Scoob?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you are!
I'm here to keep you safe, Shaggy.
Oh, are you protecting me, Scooby-Dooby-Doo?
Oh, yes, from big, mean professors.
Oh, that could be anyone, Professor. I don't think he means you.
Oh, I do!
Sir, he didn't...
You are doing the voice, Mr. Rogers.
Scooby grins and pants.
I trust you are taking avid notes, given that you're the only member of your group in attendance today.
I am?
Shaggy looks around at the emptying classroom.
Oh, shit! Professor Jenkins, normally, that Velma girl's the one paying attention. I mean, taking the best notes.
Well, Miss Dinkley has been absent enough at this point that I question her dedication to her physics degree.
Oh, no, she's totally serious about physics. Obsessed with it. Shit, it's why we were all stoked she's in our group. Figured she'd...
Do all the work for you, Miss Blake, Mr. Jones?
Yeah! I mean, no!
You mean yes.
I love physics.
Professor Jenkins leans closer to Shaggy, eyes narrowing.
You don't think I know that people take my class as some sort of bird general elective credit?
Shaggy backs away and fumbles not to fall over his chair and to the floor again.
What? Why would anyone take physics if they didn't have to?
I don't know. You tell me.
The main reason to study physics is because you're curious about how the world works, Professor.
Standing at the classroom entrance, Fred has appeared. He walks down the stairs to Jenkins and Shaggy.
In addition to that knowledge, you gain a set of incredibly useful skills to make you attractive to a wide range of employers. Physics trains you to become an expert problem solver.
Jenkins frowns, unimpressed by Fred.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
You missed class, Mr. Jones.
Which I told you I would, given the stump speeches for class president were today.
Fred holds up a Vote for Fred flyer, exactly mimicking his grin on the paper.
Elections are on Friday.
Well, Miss Dinkley wasn't here to take notes, and I'm not going to re-perform the lecture.
No problem, sir.
Fred reaches down to Scooby and pulls a small recorder from his vest.
Scooby took notes.
Jenkins frowns further. Shaggy blinks in astonishment.
Service provided.
Fred puts his arm around Shaggy.
Shaggy, we should get to work, though. Daphne and Velma are setting up in the lab.
Fred leads Shaggy toward the exit, leaving the scowling Professor Jenkins behind. Exterior, University Quad, Activities Fair, day. A series of booths are set up throughout the quad. Anything and everything is represented. A booth with club members practicing fight moves, Hong Kong Kung Fu Club. Another booth says Quest Industries Intern Program. Another, with car paraphernalia, reads Wacky Racers Estimated 1968. Another table full of picnic baskets for a fancy lunch club.
And then he called it a bird course, and I must be sleeping more than I thought, because I hadn't heard him say one thing about birds.
It means an easy class you can just fly through.
Well, who the hell would think physics is easy?
Velma.
Oh, hey! Like, Fred, bro, that was real smart of you to stick that recorder in Scoob's pouch.
A president has to always be 3 steps ahead, and I had a feeling it'd come in handy. Couldn't be sure the girls would show up.
But you knew I would?
I know we only just met last week, Shaggy, but I can already tell you're a reliable guy.
Shaggy, Fred, and Scooby cross the activities fair. Scooby's attention is quickly drawn to a band playing live music, the Hex Girls, Thorn's rock trio. Fred hands out his flyers.
Vote for Fred Jones. Hey, vote for Fred Jones. Do your part. Vote for Fred Jones for class president.
Shaggy, realizing Scooby's not at his side, looks around and inadvertently bumps into the school's mascot, a large cartoonish bear in a green pork pie hat and green necktie.
Hey there, friend. Enjoying the activities fair?
Oh, yeah, man, it's great. Aren't you hot in that thing?
What? Like you wouldn't believe.
Aren't you miserable?
Very!
Here, buddy. Something for you to relax with in there.
Shaggy reaches into his front shirt pocket and pulls out a joint. He pushes it through the mask's mouth hole.
Oh! Thanks.
No problem, man.
Shaggy strolls away, joining Scooby watching the Hex Girls. Daphne appears out of the crowd, holding her heels and pulling a chocolate bar from her purse.
Vote for... Oh, Daphne.
She flinches, ready to fight.
Oh, Ted!
Fred.
Fred, right. Physics class, right?
Right.
Don't we have a group project we should be working on?
Scooby runs out of the crowd and leaps up to greet Daphne, sniffing her purse. She isn't angry about it, but it quickly becomes a bit much.
Okay, yeah. Good to see you too. Dog, that's enough. Settle down. No chocolate in there for you.
Shaggy walks up, providing Scooby's voice once again.
Oh, hello, Daphne. Oh, you smell nice.
That's nice. Please stop now.
But I love you.
She pushes Scooby away.
Dog and the voice, Norvell.
All right.
Shaggy pulls out a treat for Scooby, which instantly gets the dog's attention. They begin walking through the fair.
Here you go, Scoob.
Let's go.
I wouldn't know. I had my stump speech today.
Wait, was Glasses Girl in class?
Velma.
No, she wasn't there either.
We were.
Tell me you took notes.
I did not.
But I did.
I planned ahead.
Waving the recorder.
Pulling a Watergate. Well done. You have my vote, Mr. President.
Why weren't you in the class?
Doing an expose on your frat friends over at Beta Zeta Beta.
I wouldn't call them my friends.
Let's just say they're all going to need to call their daddies to get them out of trouble.
Shaggy holds up his phone, streaming Daphne's video.
I don't know. It's real hard to tell what's going on without sound.
What? What do you mean without sound?
She snatches the phone from Shaggy.
Oh, shit. I must have had my thumb over the freaking microphone. Oh!
Daphne hangs her head in defeat. Shaggy pats her shoulder.
Your hair looks nice, though.
Jeepers. Thanks, Norville.
They continue through the fair. Interior, science building, student lab, day. A hum of electricity. A pop of sparks from a large metal contraption.
Jinkies!
Velma scampers around a large collection of machinery and wires, her invention. She ducks and dips through the mechanism without looking up from a tablet in her hand. She has seemingly memorized the space.
The output is too high. We're risking an overload of the lens prism.
The lab door opens. Daphne, Fred, Shaggy, and Scooby enter.
Velma, you in here?
Velma pops out from her device.
We have this lab reserved.
We know. It's us.
Oh, you three. Hello.
She ducks out of sight and goes right back to tinkering.
What the hell is this thing?
Yeah, I think it's for our double slit experiment.
Scooby trots over and sniffs the device. Velma pops out again.
Nope. No. That dog cannot be in here.
Aw, come on, Velma. He's part of the study group.
No, Professor Jenkins gave this assignment to the 4 of us, not the 4 of us plus a giant slobbering canine.
Aw, relax, Brainiac. He's harmless.
Do you know what could happen if a foreign substance fell into this thing?
Aw, Scoob isn't foreign. I rescued him from Nittingham Puppy Farm. That's just over the county line.
I mean his drool.
Daphne takes out her phone and begins filming as she circles the room.
Velma, not that I don't mind you overachieving, but Daphne's right. What is this thing?
Velma plugs in another power cord, increasing the hum of the machine.
It's exactly what it looks like.
It looks like she murdered and gutted Optimus Prime.
Look, electrons and protons will be emitted one by one at an extraordinary rate from the source in the particle microscope right here. They'll pass through this portion of the device here, the electron biprism, which typically consists of 2 parallel plates and a fine filament at the center. But for us, it will be at least 1,000. I call it the quantum untangler.
The 3 others just stare at Velma. She blinks at them and then goes right back to work.
Why are you in intro physics?
I skipped it, but the idiots who run this institution say I need the credit for my degree. Thus, I am doing this rudimentary double-slit intro assignment and my senior project at the same time.
Smart. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone.
I don't believe in avicide in the pursuit of science.
Avicide? Is that even a word?
Shaggy scratches his head and pulls out his phone.
Not to step on your toes, but this feels like a bit too much for what we're supposed to do.
We are supposed to record as many variations as possible. This will literally do all conceivable variations at once.
We're gonna get an A, guys.
Shaggy holds his phone up in triumph.
Avicide is a word, guys. It's on dictionary.com.
Velma finishes her putzing about and faces the group.
Okay, shall we?
Daphne aims her phone at the girl.
Fire it up, you mad genius. I'll document our work.
Fred and Shaggy stand at attention.
What should we do?
Stand back and watch.
We're supposed to, do this as a group, right?
I'm perfectly content doing the assignment and allowing you all to get credit. This is not the first time I've been through a group project.
Oh no, man. We're in this together.
Shaggy hurries over to the machine and leans against it, giving Velma a thumbs up.
Fine. This will shoot particles into this prism, which will split it into countless variations. They will be projected here on this curved board. Fred, you can make sure the board doesn't move.
Fred walks over to the large curved piece of metal and adjusts it.
Got it.
It was already set in place. You didn't have to move it.
Oh, right.
He moves it back.
That's not where it was.
Velma walks over to the panel and meticulously adjusts it as Fred hovers. Shaggy leans over the machine, eyes wide. Scooby comes up beside him, also looking into the machine.
Pretty cool, eh, Scoob?
It sure is, Shaggy.
Shaggy leans closer. From his front shirt pocket, one of his joints slips out and falls into the machine.
Oh, shit.
He tries to catch it, but in his effort, he smashes it in his hand and weed sprinkles into the machine. Eyes wide, he quickly blows at the mess, trying to clear the machine.
Please don't lean into the machine like that.
Right, sorry, nothing. Let's watch from over here, Scoob.
Shaggy scurries away from the machine.
Just pay attention to the levels on that monitor. I don't have a transformer powerful enough for what this is about to do. We're just pumping the juice into it raw.
Daphne reaches over to the wall and grabs the fire extinguisher. Velma stands before her machine and adjusts her glasses.
Okay, let's do this.
They all brace themselves as Velma lifts her tablet, hovers her finger over the screen, licks her lips, eyes locked on the quantum untangler, and presses activate. Boom! A rush of power. Electricity courses through the machine, arcs of energy peeling all over it as a massive stream of particles fires from one end into the center lens, activating a thick beam of light directly at the panel. Fred is bracing. He is pushed back by the power of the beam.
Zoinks, man!
The room vibrates. Daphne keeps her phone filming, her red hair whipping about her face. Velma's eyes widen eagerly, the energy reflected in her glasses. Scooby hides behind Shaggy's legs as the machine begins to groan and whine. The gauges monitoring the levels all click to red, but Shaggy is mesmerized by the brilliant light. Crash! One of the wires flies free. The beam shudders, an arc of electricity crackles into the ceiling, burning the tiles and causing the lights to pop and shatter.
Holy shit! Should I unplug it?
No one touch anything. We have to evenly reverse the polarity. We can't just shut it off.
Boom! Another power surge. Particles scatter around the room. Clouds of energy whoosh all around them, knocking Daphne back and Shaggy tripping over Scooby. Velma's glasses slip off her face.
My glasses!
She bends down to search for them on the floor while still trying to pay attention to the experiment. Fred grips the panel and tries to keep it planning. Close on the machine, where Shaggy dropped his joint, a poof of smoke from the flakes left behind. Shaggy looks up from the floor.
Whoa! Look at that!
In the clouds of energy are phantom figures, shadows braced against the energy, just as the four of them are. Velma rises, pushing her glasses back on, and looks directly into the energy before her, and for an instant, she's looking into a duplicate of her own face.
Jinkies. Extraordinary. There's been a connection.
The power rushing all around them grows stronger and stronger. The other Velma vanishes.
Velma! We gotta stop this crazy thing!
Velma shakes herself back to the moment.
Right! Fred, rotate the prism clockwise.
Got it!
Fred races to the machine and turns the crystal in front of the lens.
Clockwise! Clockwise!
I did go clockwise!
He is zapped, and as he pulls his hand back, an echoing shadow of himself flies out of the cloud of particles. Fred's hand knocks the prism from its base. It falls to the ground and breaks.
Get the prism! Shaggy, flip those activators! We have to bring it down!
Got it!
Shaggy flips switches and the energy begins to dissipate. Velma looks at her tablet. Close on the machine, a curl of smoke from the weed. Fred ducks as a slash of energy whips over his head. Daphne keeps filming. She looks over her phone, eyes wide, seeing another group of figures in the energy. Figures who look a lot like them. One becomes solid. An older Daphne in a tank top holding a shotgun and firing at some unseen force.
Are you all seeing this?
The images fade. The roar of the machine continues like a tornado.
It's leveling off! We should be okay in a moment.
Close on the machine, poof! The weed ignites, flames spread through the device in a flash. Fire whips through the thing. Boom! A flash of energy sends Velma and Fred across the room and into the wall above Shaggy. Scooby scrambles under a desk. Daphne grabs the fire extinguisher and sprays the machine.
No! Don't get it wet!
The entire machine explodes. Exterior, campus, same. Power surges all over the school. Electricity bursts from every light and building. The activities fair is rocked by the explosion from the science building. Screams and shock. Interior, student lab, continuous. Light from the shattered windows spills into the densely smoky room. The remains of the untangler spark. The prism lays on the ground, cracked in several places. Velma's hand emerges from the smoke and picks it up.
Oh no.
Daphne shoves herself free from a panel and blinks into the smoke. It is so thick, the group can barely see each other as little more than shadows in the haze.
Is everyone okay?
Shaggy spasms and sits up from underneath rubble.
Scooby-Doo?
Scooby creeps out from under the desk, completely unscathed, and licks Shaggy's face.
Oh, man! That was insane!
Velma turns the cracked prism over in her hands. It glows for a moment. Daphne checks her phone. It's in one piece. She reaches out to help herself get through the smoke, and her hand finds a smooth, muscular arm.
Fred, I had no idea your arms were this nice.
The cloud between them parts, and Daphne looks up into the face of a large, shirtless, hairy man with a massive beard that practically covers his whole face. The caveman's lip curls, and he growls as he lifts a wooden club in his grimy, thick hand. Daphne leaps back as the caveman swings his club. She trips into Velma, sending the prism flying from her hands and skittering across the debris-strewn floor.
Oh!
The caveman advances, swinging his club, and Fred comes out of nowhere and smashes a chair across the brute's shoulder. The caveman barely flinches. He slowly turns to face Fred.
You hit me.
Guys?
The caveman attacks. Fred dives out of the man's way as the club crashes into the remains of the untangler. Shaggy pops up, brandishing a metal pipe as a weapon.
Yo, hairball! Back away from my friends!
The caveman grabs a circular metal plate and chucks it. Scooby shoves Shaggy away just before the metal would have hit Shaggy.
Oh!
On the floor, Velma crawls around the mess, searching for the prism. She scoots right past the caveman's legs as he advances on Shaggy. As he lifts his club to strike, Fred runs forward and grabs the hairy man from behind.
I got him!
No!
The caveman flips Fred off his back, sending him upside down over the desk as Daphne pops up and sprays the madman in the face with the remains of the fire extinguisher. Scooby jumps up and bites the caveman in the ass. Velma finds the prism and holds it up. She looks directly at it, but her eyes shift focus. Before her, smoke clears and she sees the center of the quantum untangler, where a literal rip of space hovers in the air. Through it, she can see what appears to be a jungle.
Wow!
The caveman wipes his face and looks directly at Daphne.
You bad!
Shaggy swings his metal pipe, but without looking, the caveman catches it with his free hand, yanks,
Zoinks!
and sends Shaggy flying away. Fred is back on his feet.
Who is this guy?
Get him through that!
Velma points at the tear in space.
What the hell?
Now!
Fred races forward and shoves the caveman. Just behind the maniac, Scooby is running past to go to Shaggy, causing the caveman to trip backwards over the dog and fly right into the tear of space. There's a whoosh of light and energy, and the floating rift closes with a final pop. The gang, breathless, look at one another. Velma rises, the cracked prism in her hand, close on the crystal, as one of the more significant cracks in it heals and vanishes. She picks up a small case with a few wires and screens and slips the prism into it.
Interesting.
5 large cracks remain on the prism crystal. The smoke is entirely settled now. The 4 students and dog stand looking at the mess and each other. A beat, and then... Exterior Science Building Day. Boom! The doors of the building fly open, and the 4 walk out so fast they're nearly running, Scooby keeping up. Throughout the courtyard, there are students and teachers running around, still in a panic from the incident. The gang does their best to blend into the hysteria, putting as much distance as possible between themselves and the lab. Daphne has Velma by the arm, pulling her along as she is more interested in the small device she's building.
This never happened. We don't know anything about this.
Oh shit! Did Fred hit his head?
No, dumbass. He's saying we lie so we don't get into trouble.
Right, exactly. We weren't even in the lab.
We were campaigning for Fred.
Vote for Fred Jones!
Not now, Norville.
Shaggy stops walking, the others get a few feet away.
That wasn't me.
The 3 turn back around to Shaggy and Scooby. The dog's tongue hangs out, tail wagging.
I love you, Shaggy!
The fucking dog is talking.
We got bigger issues.
Bigger than a dog talking?
Nearby, screams of terror draw their attention.
How about a bear attack?
Across the open grass, a brown bear in a blue bow tie is roaring as it plows through students in pursuit of the mascot bear, who is barely keeping away from the beast.
We can't possibly be responsible for that, right?
Yeah, sure, and the talking dog isn't our fault either.
I love you too, Daphne!
Come on, we gotta help!
Fred and Daphne race toward the bear, Daphne pulling out her phone to start filming.
This is Daphne Blake live at the Spears Quad at the scene of a bear attack.
Scooby looks up at Shaggy, who stands beside Velma.
We got this, right?
Well, I'll do.
Scooby runs after Fred and Daphne.
Scoob, wait!
Shaggy chases after the eager dog. The bear snarls and slashes at the mascot dangling from the tree branch just out of reach.
It's just a costume. I'm not a real bear. Ah!
Fred scoops up a picnic basket from a table full of them.
Hey, over here!
Scooby sees Fred with the basket.
Sandwiches?
Fred waves it to get the bear's attention.
Yeah, there you go, boo-boo! Fancy sandwich for a fancy bear!
Daphne gets an angle on Fred and the bear.
Class presidential candidate Fred Jones has leaped into action. One has to wonder where his opponent, Red Flamey, is in this emergency.
The bear jumps at Fred, and Fred throws the basket away. The bear's eyes follow it. Scooby leaps up and grabs the basket from the air.
Scoob, no! Drop it!
Shaggy chases after Scooby. The bear growls and runs after them both.
Shaggy!
Shaggy looks back to see the bear hot on his heels.
Yeah!
Scooby-Doo whips around a tree and runs back toward Fred. The bear trips as Scoob races by. It watches the dog pass while still going forward and collides with Shaggy. Fred grabs the basket from the dog and runs at the bear. Shaggy and the bear roll through the bushes. The bear takes a moment to look at Shaggy, grunts, and advances on Fred. Fred skids to a stop and throws the basket. The bear chomps down on it midair, but keeps running toward Fred. Fred panics and literally punches the bear in the face. The bear reels back, touches its lip, and sees blood on its paw. It growls at Fred.
Anyone else got any ideas?
Fred runs. Scooby runs past him. Daphne films from behind the tree the mascot is dangling from.
Here.
She tosses Fred a chocolate bar. He catches it.
What am I supposed to do with this?
The bear growls and licks its lips. Fred runs. The bear chases. Across the courtyard, Velma has been working on the device in her hands. She fiddles with the prism. It locks into place and the device powers up. It looks like some sort of rifle. She plants her feet and points the makeshift cannon at the bear as Fred and Scooby-Doo zip by.
I got this!
Click, the device does nothing.
Oh, I don't got this. Stand by!
If we stand anyway, we're gonna be lunch!
Shaggy leaps into the tree with the mascot. The bear runs right underneath them, passing Daphne and going after Fred, who has flipped over the picnic basket table and is throwing sandwiches at the bear. Velma's cannon powers up.
There!
Zap! A crackle of energy fires from the device and hits the bear, evaporating it. Scooby runs up to the sandwiches and begins eating them off the grass, excitedly. Shaggy hangs upside down from the tree.
Did you just vaporize that bear?
No, I sent it back to its reality.
Daphne steps out from behind the tree.
That was fantastic, you guys! I got so much good footage!
Fred steps out from behind the table.
Oh, well, I'm glad something good could come out of this nightmare.
Hey, don't complain. You looked heroic as hell, Mr. President.
At the tree, Shaggy drops down and looks up.
Oh, you can come down, pal. It's over.
In the tree, the mascot whimpers and points. Shaggy turns around as a giant grizzly bear in a green necktie and green hat emerges from the bushes.
Picnic basket!
Zap! Velma hits the bear with her rifle beam, evaporating it. Daphne holds up her phone.
Damn! I missed that one.
Shaggy wobbles and falls to the ground. Scooby trots over and drops a sandwich in his lap.
Oh, thanks.
Velma looks down at the prism.
Interesting.
Daphne gestures all around. There are still panicking students and debris everywhere.
We just fought a caveman and bears in formal wear, and all you can say is interesting?
Velma's entire focus is on the device she's crafted.
When we sent the caveman back through his tear in reality, it sealed, and the cracks on the prism have healed too. But when we sent those bears back, there was no response. Interesting.
What does that mean?
I'm not sure. It could be that a number of anomalies were created when the untangler malfunctioned.
You mean exploded?
But these bears were not a primary one.
How many anomalies do you think there are?
Could be as many as the particles we fired through the prism.
Oh shit! That's gotta be like 100!
It's a little more than that.
Oh, like 1,000!
Multiply that by itself.
1,000,000!
How many, Velma, of the primary ones?
Velma studies the readings on her cobbled-together device. She shuffles away and toward the dorms.
I need to run some calculations. Give me some time.
The courtyard has settled, though there is still a mess. The remaining three stand there, exhaling and finally able to take a moment after all the madness.
Hey, what should we do while we wait? And she's gone.
Anyone interested in some Scooby snacks?
Fred and Daphne give their classmate a look.
I know, Shaggy.
I knew you would, Scoob!
Daphne cocks an eyebrow at Fred.
We can agree that Scooby snacks means drugs, right?
Oh, there's so much more than that! Follow me!
Shaggy and Scooby scamper away. Scooby laughs. Exterior parking lot, day. The door on Shaggy's large blue-green camper van whips open to reveal a rather nice setup, with plush carpet, beanbags, a disco ball, and a myriad of items on a display shelf.
We got gummies, oils, edibles, vapors, capers, cakes, code words, knickknacks, night for a night, hassles, mind your own business. What the heck's? Foul play, backstage rage, bedlam, space kook, night frights, mix-ups, tiki scares, will-o-ways, and Bermuda triangles. If you feel like getting lost and coming back like you've been gone for 5.5 decades.
Daphne stares in disbelief.
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Scooby jumps into the van, does a few circles, and plops onto his dog bed, crammed between the two front chairs.
How about a sandwich, Scoob?
Oh, yes, please. I love sandwiches.
Shaggy jumps into the van and near the back.
Okay, let's see what we got in stock. We got the stuff for turkey and Swiss, ham and cheese, double-decker deli explosion, a Reuben, a Wimbledon, a Sonny and Cher, a bottomless bread, a vulture claw, a beeline, a Harlem Globetrotter.
Daphne sighs and leans against the side of the van. She holds up her phone and finds Fred across the parking lot handing out flyers.
Vote for Fred Jones. I punched a bear in the face. Vote for me.
Daphne shifts her filming toward all the emergency vehicles dealing with the mess around campus. Exterior dorms later afternoon. Some hours have passed. Velma is hurrying along with a huge backpack full of the pieces of their project. She's holding a refined version of the rifle she cobbled together earlier and a handheld device. She's moving with haste. Thorn spots her and jogs over.
Oh, Velma.
Oh, hey, Thorn.
Can you believe all this? The power surges, that bear? It's crazy.
Yes, it's all very interesting.
Thorn keeps in step with her girlfriend.
What are those?
A retrofitted quantum cannon and reader meter to detect displaced reality anomalies.
Oh.
Thorn looks Velma up and down. Her clothes are singed from the explosion, her hair messier than normal.
Vel, you didn't have anything to do with all of this, did you?
No.
Oh, wait. What's this thing you were pushing around earlier?
Nowhere.
Velma!
I've gotta go, Thorn. Good luck with your band show thing or whatever.
Velma gives Thorn a peck on the cheek and picks up her pace as Thorn stops following.
That was this afternoon.
Exterior parking lot later afternoon. Shaggy and Scooby are snoring on the plush floor of his van, crumbs on their chest. Daphne is sitting in the passenger seat, frowning at her phone as Fred walks up, the last flyer in his hand.
I can't believe this. I've barely gotten any views. Every single person on campus was snapping selfies and streaming the whole thing. Got lost in the crowd of the dozens.
I'm sure your subscribers watched.
What a good that's doing me. I've got like 10 subscribers.
Ding ding!
Oh, look, a like.
That's from my dumb dad. Get away from me.
Daphne pulls her phone away and sulks. Velma scurries up and throws her huge backpack into the van. It lands beside Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, but they keep snoring.
I've returned.
Great. What's the rundown?
Norville, wake up. Pay attention.
Chocolate-covered hot dogs.
Scooby wakes as well.
Delicious.
Listen.
I've made this quantum reader meter which will locate the focal points of most distress. Based on how the prism reacted to sending the other anomalies back, the 5 cracks on the crystal lens correspond with 5 major rips in all of reality.
And that will seal them up?
I believe so.
Do we really need to be the ones who do this? I mean, like, maybe it's not so bad at the other, rips in space-time.
This is our mess. We gotta do the right thing and clean it up.
Daphne holds up her phone.
Right. Where to first?
The closest one is a few miles down the road at Merrymakers.
Great, a rundown old theme park. If we aren't attacked by another bear, maybe one of us will get tetanus.
Oh, I went there all the time when I was a kid. I always loved the clown go around. Let's go!
Shaggy dusts the crumbs off his shirt.
How about I drive?
Oh, good thinking.
Chuckin'.
The gang moves. Velma climbs into the van and plops down on a beanbag.
Do you not have seatbelts?
Why would a beanbag need a seatbelt? They're made for relaxing.
Fred fires up the engine as Shaggy pulls the van door closed. On the whoosh and slam, cut to exterior Merrymakers Amusement Park, sunset. A blast of green magic streaks across the ruins of a smoldering roller coaster and explodes into the side of the ticket booth. Dark clouds swirl over the park and lightning and wind whip about. The park itself is dilapidated, but in addition to the rundown quality, there are portions of the park that are somehow twisted and blended, as though combining into a patchwork of 2 different realities. 4 cloaked figures, burned and bleeding, stand in the open and brace themselves as they look into the sky at their attacker. They each have glowing magic, rippling in their fists, and from amulets on their necks. A metallic steam tech gargoyle with a fanged mask and a jetpack soars through the smoke of the battle scene and points a gauntlet at the 4, rapidly firing bolts. The lead of the cloaked figures pulls back their hood to reveal Daphneo, a mystical magic-wielding Daphne.
Disable his boosters!
Her friends extend their arms, and mystical versions of Fred, Velma, and Shaggy send magic ripping through the air toward the mechanical menace. He deftly dodges the attacks and launches a spray of flames from his other gauntlet. The 4 mystical friends dive for cover. Mystic Velma's glasses slip down her nose, but she catches them and shoves them back on. Park entrance. The van screeches to a halt at the gate of the park, and the 4 classmates and dog lean forward to peer through the windshield at the battle before them. Streaks of green magic and flames reflect off the glass.
You guys are, seeing this too, right?
Yeah.
It appears to be some sort of
magic.
While the others stare unblinkingly at the battle, Velma's attention is drawn to the nearby structure, a concession stand that has bent and twisted in combination with a wooden hut with a thatched roof.
Interesting. The worlds are combining.
Crack! A blast of magic rips overhead and the gang ducks. In the air, the gargoyle launches 4 small rockets that expand with a net.
Ah!
The net wraps itself around Mystic Fred and sends him toppling into a hay cart.
Frederick!
He is fine, Norvis. Focus!
We must ground him!
One side, Velaria. He is mine. Aqua Ignis!
A blast of water fires from the mystical Shaggy's hands. The metallic gargoyle rolls through the air around the blast. He reaches out his hand and a spear extends from the palm. He spins it and throws it with all his might.
Die!
The spear slams into Mystic Shaggy's leg, causing the mage to keel over.
Yes!
Daphne, the mystical Daphne, points 2 fingers at her forehead and then flicks them at the metal maniac.
Crack! Boom!
The gargoyle's jetpack shatters as her magic blast collides with it. The man falls. He hits the ground, but he's not out yet. He rolls, gets to his knees, and launches a barrage of sonic energy that strikes Valaria. She grabs her ears and collapses.
Valaria, no! You monster!
Daphne sprints forward, turning her hand and creating a magical green blade from thin air. She swings at the gargoyle, but he deflects the magical blade with his gauntlet, sparks flying from the impact. He draws a sword of his own and swipes it just inches away from Daphne's throat. She spins to dodge, and it's the opening the gargoyle needs. He grabs her by the hair, yanks her backwards, ready to plunge his sword into her back.
I have you now, witch!
Frederick fires a blast of magic between the two, separating them. The madman points his flamethrowers, squeezing his fists, and wham! The van collides with the madman and skids to a stop. The gargoyle unceremoniously tumbles across the gravel and flops motionless against a game stand with cute plushies that fall on top of him. The gang clambers out of the van. Daphne runs to her mystical counterpart.
Are you okay? I am fine.
Shaggy helps Velma's counterpart as Norvis hobbles over to join them, mending his leg with a spell. Mystic Frederick has freed himself and limps over to the fallen gargoyle. Just as Fred reaches the metallic fallen man, Scooby at his side.
He's definitely out for the count. Thank you, my friend.
A low, pained groan comes from the masked man. Frederick reaches down and yanks the fanged mask off the fiend, and Fred gasps.
Professor Jenkins?
Really mean, Professor?
We know him as Abraham Van Jenkins in our world.
A scarred-faced, long-haired Professor Jenkins, Van Jenkins, coughs a bit of blood and sneers up at them.
And I would have ended this if it were not for you meddling kids and that damn power.
Frederick punches Van Jenkins across the face, knocking him out.
We have heard enough from you.
Velma is paying very little attention to the others. She's bent over and studying a portion of the ground and a wall where the two worlds have combined. The connected area is rippling and moving slightly, like 2 candles melting together.
You see what is happening, do you? The realities are blending together. Indeed. This is our fault. Is it? We believed it was our doing.
Velma looks up at her counterpart and they both adjust their glasses.
Why do you think that?
The two groups gather together, each facing their other self.
We come from a world of magic. Kulsvania, the world you see encroaching into your world. Van Jenkins is a madman who we have been in conflict with for many years. We believe that when we were battling, the combination of our magics and his science clashed and ripped open reality.
We must have all performed our reality-ripping actions at the same moment in time. A fair hypothesis.
Daphne gestures to a gem on a chain around her neck, the same as her companions.
Our amulets maintained the barriers between worlds, and in our effort to strengthen them, we created this schism across the planes. We hold barely enough magic to keep us grounded here in your world until this is all over.
We can finish this now, Urk.
Norvis winces as he puts pressure on his leg.
Whoa, easy, man. You're still bleeding. It is nothing. As soon as we are healed, we can attempt to solve this mystery.
Daphne extends a hand, and in a glow of light, a crystal ball appears in her palm. It has 5 cracks in it, identical to the ones in Velma's prism.
We believe we can trace the tears in reality using this mystic craft.
She hands it to Valaria. Daphne peers at it.
Hey, that looks exactly like ours.
Velma holds up her meter reader.
We are tracking rifts at several locations. Each of the focal points must have had some simultaneous occurrence that caused realities to fracture. If we seal the tears, we shall heal all reality, and then we can go home.
Simple enough. Let's go do that.
No, we shall go. Ah!
Frederick winces in pain. Fred keeps him upright. Scooby braces Mystic Fred from the other side.
Oh, too hard.
Yeah, you're all pretty thrashed. I think maybe we should handle this.
Scooby-Doo licks Frederick's hand sweetly. Mystic Fred pats the pup's head.
This is an honor. What shall we do?
Daphne tears a piece of her cloak and dabs the cut on her neck.
We cannot ask you to do this alone.
No need to ask. We're, volunteering.
The two Velmas look at each other's detectors, the crystal ball and the reader meter.
We can seal the primary anomalies with my device and heal the prism, which should heal all crystal as well, which should make it strong enough to open and close rifts in space-time.
Right. Easy peasy.
Very well. Go forth, my friends. We shall monitor your progress and await your return.
Shaggy helps Daphne take a seat on a bench.
But we...
They are right, Norvis. Ben Jenkins has weakened us too much. It has to be them.
Mystic Shaggy pouts but doesn't argue. He lowers himself to a pile of rubble and nurses his leg.
Good luck, heroes!
Oh, well, I don't know about that. Heroes? You think so?
She smiles flirtatiously at Fred. He grins boyishly, surprised by the beautiful young woman.
I see greatness in you.
Really? No, get out of here.
All right, that's enough. Let's go, hero boy.
Daphne pulls Fred away by the back of his shirt. He waves as they move toward the van.
Let's go, Scoob!
Scooby-Doo bounds away from the Mystic Gang and leaps into the van. The classmates climb in after, and with a final nod and wave to their mystical counterparts, the van roars to life and skids out of the park. Above, the dark clouds swirl and flicker with lightning as the sun sets. Exterior neighborhood sunset. The last spits of daylight are vanishing on the horizon. Seen from the street, a rather nice home sits at the end of a long driveway. Large trees encircle the property. A car rolls up the drive, and Professor Jenkins emerges from the vehicle carrying his briefcase. He adjusts his glasses as he looks down at his phone and footage from the incident on campus. People running and shouting, small fires. Red appears on the screen in the video in front of his frat house.
The explosions were like, boom! And we were all like, wow! And then a freaking bear was all like, rah! Wild shit, man. And the power's all out all over school, but as you can see, the Beta Zeta Beta house is still up in operation.
He walks up the stairs to the front doors. Interior, Professor Jenkins' house, continuous. Entering the house, still looking at the phone, he places his keys and briefcase beside the door on a wooden stand, removes his shoes, and slips on fuzzy slippers.
See, I'm a planner. I think ahead, and we've got backup generators for blackouts, because, we just gotta break bad when we throw our parties. Woo! Vote red!
I weep for the future.
He shuffles down the hall to the kitchen, entering and flicking the light switch, but no lights come on. He frowns and looks up from his phone and freezes. His eyes go wide. From behind the professor, we see the kitchen, or rather, the remains of his kitchen. The entire wall has been demolished, ripped out of the house, and in his backyard is a giant circular spacecraft, a UFO. Smoke and sparks pop off the alien vehicle. At the edges of the house and throughout the yard, reality is melting from one world to another, just like at Merrymakers.
What's in the world?
He stumbles forward into the yard in shock, taking it all in. A ramp is extending from the downed craft. From the yellow haze within the alien ship, the silhouette of a humanoid figure appears. Jenkins pauses.
Hello?
The figure steps forward, and the haze around it clears to reveal another Jenkins.
Oh my god!
Professor Jenkins turns and runs back to the house.
Oh my god, what is this?
The edge of the house where the two worlds are melding shifts as Jenkins runs past it, and it catches his foot. He falls forward, landing face first on the linoleum. He slides across the floor, his glasses flying off his face. Panicking, he pushes himself up and freezes again. Standing in the hallway, dressed exactly as he is his duplicate. The Xeno Jenkins slowly bends down and picks up the professor's stray glasses. The creature rises and slips the glasses on his face.
What are you?
On the floor, the professor shudders in terror. Exterior neighborhood night. The van zips through the tree-lined neighborhood, the headlights cutting through a thin layer of mist. Interior van continuous. Fred is behind the wheel. Daphne is on her phone in the passenger seat. In the back, Velma is tinkering with her reader meter while Scooby, much to her chagrin, sits way too close beside her, his heavy dog breathing fogging up her glasses. Shaggy has his head out the side window, like a dog.
So, like, we're going for the primary thingies, right?
Rifts, yes.
Yeah, should we do anything about the random non-primary rifty thingies? If we see any, I mean.
We can handle those later.
Got it!
Shaggy looks down the road as a group of strange beings walking out of the woods and crossing the street behind the van. A casually strolling space barbarian family of 3 and a giant Herculoidean laser dragon, space rhinoceros, a rock ape, and a pair of shape-shifting blobs.
I got another view.
Velma, am I going the right way?
On the reader screen, we see a map of the town. The amusement park is marked center of 4 blinking dots. A 5th dot is marked out, the school.
The 4 detectable rifts were all equidistant from Merrymakers. This was the easiest route from there.
Right. But am I going the right way?
Velma looks down at the reader.
Stop here!
Fred slams on the brakes.
Zoinks!
Daphne's phone flies out of her hands. Shaggy's flung from the back to the front, landing between Daphne's chairs just as Daphne's phone lands on his head. Scooby shakes. He looks around and then down. He has been thrown as well and is currently crushing Velma.
Sorry, Velma.
He clambers off. Velma sits up, adjusting her glasses.
Thus, the importance of seatbelts is revealed.
Exterior, Professor Jenkins' house. Continuous. The gang climbs out of the van and looks up at the professor's house. Velma taps at her reader. Scooby sniffs the air and then ground and begins snuffling around.
This is the place.
No kidding.
Daphne points at the far side of the house where Scooby is sniffing a bush that turns from a rhododendron into an alien red/purple flora. The world is gently rippling as whatever other world encroaching on this one is slowly consuming more of reality.
Come on!
Scooby snorts at the bush and hurries after his friend. Interior, Professor Jenkins' house, continuous. Entering the house, we can see it's quite a bit different from earlier. More of the alien world has consumed it, leaving very little of the professor's home. Velma waves the reader back and forth. She takes her quantum cannon off her shoulder and hands it to Fred.
The calibration might be off. I'm working with assumptions and may need to make adjustments as we proceed, but when we find the source, blast it.
Got it.
Fred shoulders the rifle and leads the group forward, very slowly. Daphne lifts her phone to film them.
Stay close, Scoob!
Shaggy reaches over to pet the pup, but pets the wooden stand with Professor Jenkins' briefcase. Scooby is right alongside the others heading down the hall.
Wait up, guys!
Shaggy grips his backpack straps and scampers after them. Kitchen. They enter the remains of the kitchen and all stare at the spacecraft in the yard. Fred aims the rifle. Daphne zooms in on her phone. Velma's reader meter beeps rapidly.
God damn.
The source is somewhere nearby.
Scooby looks back at Shaggy. The dog's eyes go wide.
Right?
Yeah, Scoob.
Scooby points with his paw. Shaggy slowly turns around.
Ah!
He stumbles away from a figure standing in the hallway.
Professor!
The gang all turn around to face the calm man stepping into the kitchen with a placid smile on his wrinkled face.
Oh, hello, students. What brings you by tonight?
Professor, is this your house?
Of course it is.
Are you not alarmed?
Why should I be?
Half your house is missing, bro!
Oh, that's nothing at all. I'm remodeling.
Remodeling?
Yes.
The gang all look at one another. A distant sound, the engine of some car, from somewhere out in the night, though none of them give it any notice.
Professor, are you not the least bit alarmed that a dog just asked you a question?
Should I be?
Velma's meter bleeps. She looks at it and then sharply up as from the other entry to the kitchen, another Professor Jenkins appears.
Oh, hello, students. What brings you by tonight?
Well, shit!
A slick, black-paneled van crashes through the side of the house between the gang and the aliens. The gang all dives for cover as the 2 Xeno Jenkins hiss furiously. In an instant, the back doors of the van whip open and 3 fully armed and militarized soldiers leap out, firing lasers. The nearest alien explodes into purple goo, but the second laser lashes out with incredible speed, knocking over 2 of the soldiers. As goo splatters across Daphne and Velma,
Oh, gross! Oh.
a muscular Doberman snarls next to the lead soldier, who yanks off his face mask to reveal a grizzled, older, duplicate Fred.
They got doppelgangers of us, team. Light them up.
Lasers fly at the classmates. Shaggy and Scooby run for it, toward the backyard. Fred pulls Velma to safety as Daphne rolls behind a chunk of overturned floor. 3 more Xeno Jenkins run out of nowhere and attack the blaster-wielding gang. All attention goes to the aliens.
Scoob, fast!
As the military group expertly fires on the aliens, the Doberman attacks too, ripping an arm off one of the aliens, sending more purple gore splattering. Beside the blaster-toting Fred is a wild-eyed, older duplicate Shaggy, and Velma too.
I got the strays!
Shaggy X moves toward the backyard after Shaggy and Scooby popping shots at aliens as he moves. Fred waves his hands over his head, trying to signal their jacked-up doubles.
Stop shooting at us! We're not a threat!
Exactly what a doppelganger would say.
As he fires at Fred, who ducks and covers beside Velma.
It's just dawning on me that maybe there's a chance we're not nice in other realities.
More aliens race from the backyard. Fred X just goes ham, screaming and firing at each one that appears.
Yeah!
Velma X jump kicks one and then lights it up. As the gooey purple mass flops to the ground, the aggressive Velma locks eyes with a cell phone pointed at her from over a lip of a cracked earth.
I'm on the west side of town, where alien doppelgangers have engaged in battle with paramilitary group allegedly from another dimension.
Velma X kicks the barrier of dirt and aims her blaster at Daphne, cowering there. She shouts,
How did you bring us here?
We didn't!
Velma X jerks her aim toward Velma and Fred's position.
Talk fast. Our parallel realities were simultaneously bent enough to meld, and this is the result we were able to perceive in three-dimensional space and time. Our organization would have detected such a breach of time and space.
3 more Jenkins run into the house and attack the military Fred and Scooby. Velma whips around and joins the fray.
I don't think they're gonna listen to reason.
Fred lifts the rifle and aims it at the military gang.
Hero time.
He pulls the trigger, a beam of light blasts out and strikes his counterpart. And nothing happens.
Hey, get that light out of my face, asshole.
Fred X fires at Fred, who ducks beside Velma.
Not hero time. Not hero time at all.
Daphne crawls through the madness to get a better angle on the brawl.
We need to figure out what this group's rift was caused by.
Interior UFO continuous. The blaster shots and alien shrieks are muffled as Shaggy and Scooby appear in the alien craft.
Oh man, this is crazy!
Shaggy trips and hits the ground. He shakes his head clear from the fall and looks directly at a fuzzy slipper. His gaze rises. Professor Jenkins is standing against the wall of the ship, thick, ropey strands holding him in place.
Professor!
The man's eyes are wide open and staring, unblinking. Scooby sniffs the man.
Real professor?
Shaggy follows his gaze. In the center of the open room, there's a glowing rock on a thin, stringy tendon, hanging from the ceiling. It shimmers and pulses.
What the hell is that?
Shaggy's eyes widen, exactly like the professor's. He is quickly entranced.
Right?
It's just like so pretty, man.
He shuffles closer to the hanging bulb of light. From the darkness and yellow haze above it, 6 spider-like legs descend upon Shaggy. Shaggy lifts his hand.
I wanna touch it.
With the legs come the body of a horrible alien spider creature and a drooling maw. Interior Professor Jenkins' house continuous. The adult versions of Fred and Velma are back-to-back, expertly firing, reloading, and firing again, taking out Xeno Jenkins. The Doberman tears into another. Daphne finally crawls up to Fred and Velma.
I've got over 100 views!
Congratulations!
Velma keeps adjusting her reader meter.
I can't pinpoint the anomaly!
Well, figure it out! They're gonna run out of Jenkinses and come back to us!
Interior UFO continuous. The legs of the alien spider are inches away from the hypnotized Shaggy. Scooby-Doo leaps into action, grabbing Shaggy and pulling him away. Just as he does, the alien spider's jaw snaps down and snags Shaggy's backpack. The alien chomps down on the bag and all of Shaggy's treats within. At that moment, the crazed Shaggy X sprints into the chamber and opens fire. The spider roars in aggravation. Shaggy X is taken aback by the massive creature.
Oh God, game over, man! Game over!
He widely fires, enraging the spider even more. Scooby scampers swiftly under Shaggy X's blaster fire and tackles the wild man to the ground. Shaggy X swings his rifle and cracks Scooby across the face. The young and dazed Shaggy sees this, and in an instant, anger snaps through him.
Oh no, you did not just hit my dog!
Shaggy runs forward and dive punches the armed Shaggy across the face.
Move!
The pair fall to the metal floor, Shaggy X's eyes rolling back in his head from the adrenaline-fueled attack. His head bounces off the floor and he's knocked out cold.
Ow!
Shaggy shakes his fist in pain.
Oh shit, I think I broke my arm!
A roar from the spider cuts him short. Scooby and Shaggy whip about to see the thing shaking its mighty head, a few remnants of Shaggy's delicacies falling from the rows of razor-sharp teeth.
I think it was hungry, Scoob!
It rears up, roaring. It shudders and spits, and then, with a loud gag, it pukes its guts all over the chamber, dousing Shaggy, Scooby, and the unconscious soldier. Interior, Professor Jenkins' house continues. The several Xeno Jenkins all begin to shudder and convulse, all of them puking. One by one, the doppelgangers explode. The military gang lower their weapons. In the yard, the ship rumbles and begins to power up. Velma's reader chirps. She stands fully upright and points.
The ship is the source of the rift!
The Doberman snaps its teeth at Velma.
Hey, look, we're not the bad guys. We come in peace.
You think we'll just take you at your word?
We're not exploding into goo, dumbass.
We're trying to help you get back to your world.
Shaggy comes from the yard, dragging his unconscious counterpart, and Scooby-Doo helping Professor Jenkins walk.
I think I made the ship sick, guys!
The military gang aims at Shaggy.
They're not goo either.
In the yard, the ship begins to vibrate, rising from the earth. As it clears the surface, it coughs and sends a huge wave of steam, smoke, and dirt directly at the house. Everyone braces themselves for the shockwave as it washes over them and through the house. The ship rumbles and in a whoosh of energy, snaps out of existence in a crack of power. Silence settles with the dust and dirt. As the air clears, the only people standing in the shattered kitchen are the original 4 kids, Scooby and a very startled Professor Jenkins. Velma looks down at the reader as one of the cracks on the prism heals and vanishes. Exterior, Merrymaker's amusement park night. The Mystic group, seated and nursing their wounds, look over at their Velma as she lifts her crystal ball. A crack on it heals as well.
They did it!
The others cheer at the success. Daphne touches the cut on her neck as it heals itself.
Extraordinary. I knew we could count on them.
Interior, Professor Jenkins' house later. Velma is seated at the remains of the kitchen table, making adjustments on her reader and the quantum cannon. Daphne gets shots of the destroyed backyard. Scooby follows her around, watching her work. Shaggy hands Professor Jenkins a cup of tea.
Here you go, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
Fred walks over to Velma.
What's the verdict? Did that work?
It did. It would appear that each of these primary rifts has a variation of us from when we activated the quantum untangler. Now we know how to seal reality. The thing we need to send back is us.
On the screen, the lights indicating that remaining 4 locations glow just a bit brighter. Fred turns to their professor.
Well, sir, I hope you take this into consideration when you give us our grades.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Jones?
For our group assignment. We clearly deserve an A.
You want an A? For shattering reality?
Yes?
I beg to disagree.
Sir, we have achieved a feat of science never before documented.
And I've documented every moment of it.
And if that's not A+ material, I don't know what is.
Mr. Jones, you're lucky I don't contact the authorities and report you. If I didn't know for a fact that Ms. Blake's father would make one call and get you all released, I would.
Daphne frowns, annoyed by the implication.
What would you report? That clones of you attacked space versions of us while a spaceship puked on your house?
Don't be glib, Miss Blake.
Professor,
You don't even know what happened, do you?
I have my hypothesis.
Which is?
When I activated my quantum untangler, there were calculations I couldn't account for in regards to power levels and...
It sounds like you put your device, which I explicitly made clear was not to be a part of this experiment, Miss Dinkley, into operation untested, and then observed the particles hitting the viewing board.
Oh, of course we observed. We wanted to see what happened.
You observing the universe, untangling, is likely what untangled it in the first place. You created a particle feedback loop.
Sounds more like a quantum feedback machine.
And I hardly believe that constitutes any of you receiving any sort of passing grade on this assignment.
They all hang their heads in shame at that statement.
Like, what if we put it all right?
They all look at Shaggy.
Put it right.
Yeah! Like we open this can of worms. What if we can also close it with all the worms back inside?
The professor thinks a moment. The others all look at him, waiting.
I'll call it an incomplete for now.
You won't be disappointed, sir.
Exterior, Professor Jenkins' house, moments later. As the gang hurries to the van, Daphne films, Scooby right behind her, smiling for the camera.
Daphne Blake, coast to coast, will keep the cameras rolling through all of this incredible night.
Shaggy appears over her shoulder.
You sure? Jenkins wasn't wrong. We kinda did this.
Daphne cuts off the filming.
You don't know that.
don't we?
Velma climbs into the passenger seat.
Or at least partially responsible.
Partially is not totally.
Fred gets in the driver's seat.
Maybe one of the other us's are more responsible.
Yeah, that's a great angle.
Shaggy climbs into the van with Scoob.
Should reporting have an angle?
Daphne sighs and gets into the van, pulling the door closed. Intermission. Exterior, Coolsville Mall, night. As the van door opens and the gang emerges, Daphne is in mid-diatribe, ignoring the steady rumble of thunder above them.
Having the angle is essential to any coherent narrative. It is what defines the direction the story will take, what questions are being asked, and why the issue is important and newsworthy.
Makes sense.
Shaggy looks up from a bag of chips he's consuming.
What makes sense?
Daphne.
What was she making sense about?
I literally gave you a 15-minute explanation on journal. You know what? Never mind.
Velma is holding the quantum cannon, making adjustments. The reader beeps at her hip.
Beep. The primary rift is closing.
Yes it is.
He reaches over and tilts Velma's head to look directly at the mall, which has already been significantly melted between realities, theirs and some 1980s mall. A mob of people are both fleeing in terror or running with armloads of goods from the stores within.
What is that?
Among the horde are several very colorful animals that look like they sprung to life off a circus carousel. A purple gorilla? A pink lion? A blue dog? They are chasing victims around cars and through the lot. A white horse in a cowboy hat gallops right past the gang, chasing a man in a Roman legionnaire uniform. Daphne snags some footage. Within the mall, there is a flash of blinding red light that illuminates the entire building for an instant.
Inside?
Inside.
Interior, Coolsville Mall, hallways, night. A small girl of about 11, sobbing, runs through the back hallway of the mall. The lights above her flicker on and off. She's terrified. Something is following her, its pounding footfalls echoing in time with her labored breathing. The girl slips and falls as she rounds a corner, twisting her ankle, but she gets up fast and runs to the door at the end of the hall. It is locked.
No!
She turns around. Slap! She is backhanded by a skeletal woman covered in black veins. As the girl falls, the woman grabs her by the neck and lifts her off the tile, flinging her over her shoulder.
Stop!
The woman slowly turns to face a young boy holding a hockey stick.
Put her down now!
The kid braces himself, ready to fight the nightmarish being. The woman whips her arms up, hand extended, and a wave of telekinetic power flings the heroic kid backwards and slams him into the wall. As he hits the ground, groaning in pain and dazed, the woman walks right over him, the little girl still slung over her shoulder.
Velma! No.
Interior, Coolsville Mall, entry, night. The college gang enters the mall as the last of the shoppers escape. They face the expansive storefronts and overturned kiosks. The darkness is permeating the place. Velma hands the rifle to Fred.
The calibration is subjective per anomaly, but it should have more of an effect this time.
They advance.
We should go to the food court.
Why?
I'm hungry.
Way to think with your brain, Shag.
They jog forward. Food court. The skeletal woman drops little Velma on the floor in the center of the eating area. With a wave of her arm, the tables and chairs are sent flying away, crashing into menu boards and plexiglass sneeze protectors at the food stations.
Our time has come, little one!
The skeletal woman arches her back, arms to her sides, and looks to the dark sky beyond the shattered glass skylights above. In the sky, lightning cracks open the clouds. The woman lifts off the ground and begins to hover over the center of the court.
Behold your end, child!
Whoosh! Crack! The woman's head is bent backwards as a firework slams into the side of her face and explodes blue and green lights. On the second level, overlooking the food court, two little kids, a boy with shaggy hair and a puppy in a bag, Lil Shaggy, and a redheaded girl, Little Daphne, with a backpack full of fireworks, light two more rockets and send them right at the Nightmare Woman.
Happy 4th, you evil bitch!
Eat freedom, asshole!
They launch more fireworks at the woman, each impact causing her to jerk and jolt in the air but not fall. On the floor, little Velma whimpers and crawls away as red, blue, green, yellow sparks shower down on her. From the hall, little Fred comes running.
Velma!
Freddy! No!
The woman slashes the air, sending a wave of her telekinetic power at the kid. Little Daphne and Shaggy are knocked backward. Little Fred dives under the wave and slides across the tile directly into Velma's arms.
I've got you.
The woman reaches out and yanks Freddy off the floor. He soars upwards and into her thin fingertips.
There's nothing you can do! She's mine!
Little Velma weeps on the floor, helpless. From the main thoroughfare, Fred, Daphne, Shaggy, Velma, and Scooby-Doo come running into the food court, skidding to a halt at the sight of the scene.
What the hell is this?
The floating evil woman whips about to face the older kids.
More?
Her gaze locks onto Velma.
Ah! Another one!
Friend of yours, though?
Of course not.
Whoosh! The evil woman launches another wave of mind powers at the gang. They scatter. Daphne and Velma duck behind a large overturned table. Shaggy and Scooby are smacked by the wave and are thrown back the way they came. Fred slides behind a planter and shoulders the quantum cannon.
Vel, I shoot the scary lady, right?
I believe so.
Daphne gets to filming.
Hey, get over here, witch!
Above, little Shaggy launches a fresh volley of fireworks. She drops little Fred and he manages to land on his feet. He races over to little Velma, cowering under a table. Fireworks sparks dance around them.
Vel, listen to me. We're here for you. We're never going to leave you. But you have to face her. You're our only hope.
The older Fred vaults the planter and rushes forward for a clean shot at the woman. Zap! He fires the cannon and the blast glances off her shoulder. The woman whips her arms over and over, slashes telekinetic waves every which way. Fred dives for cover. Velma and Daphne run through the shower of colors and psychic blasts and race up the stairs to the second level and the firework launching kids.
Who are you two? We're here to help.
What caused this anomaly?
You mean the Psycho Velma?
Daphne zooms her phone in on the shrieking face of the floating woman.
Holy shit, it is an evil Velma.
Velma looks at the floating woman too.
Jinkies.
Below, Fred fires on the woman and she reaches out and grabs the front of his shirt with her mind powers.
Ah!
She yanks him through the air and clasps her hand around his throat. The quantum cannon flies from his hands, tumbles through the air. Scoob catches the rifle in his mouth and tosses it right into Shaggy's hands.
I got you, Fred!
Shaggy fires the cannon right at Nightmare Velma, hitting her in the back. She drops Fred.
Ah!
As he crashes into a Panda Express. Shaggy fires again and again, hitting the woman, but she's taking every hit.
Velma! This thing isn't sending her back!
Velma has moved to the stairs.
It must not be calibrated to the frequency of their reality.
Oh, the hell does that mean?
Waves of power erupt from the mad woman. On the floor, little Freddy has both hands on little Velma's shoulders.
You can do this. I know it.
I can't. I'm not strong enough.
Nightmare Velma psychically slaps little Freddy away, sending him rolling like a ragdoll into Shaggy's leg, toppling him. Above, the waves of power have forced Daphne and the kids to duck for cover.
We're out of fireworks!
Nightmare Velma roars as the waves of her power keep coming and rending the reality around them. Little Velma, her cheeks wet from fearful tears, looks around the food court. She sees Freddy lying unconscious nearby. She sees the shaggy-haired guy being dragged to safety by the big dog. She sees her friends above screaming over the waves of energy, and she looks up at the horrible Nightmare Woman, and a gentle hand touches her shoulder. She looks into the face of Velma kneeling beside her. The older girl sweetly sets little Velma's skewed glasses right on her face.
She's the manifestation of our fear. I have that fear inside me too. But she's not real. You and me? We are. You are strong and special. I know it. Her power comes from inside here.
Velma points at the little girl's head.
And you control that. So you control her.
Gathering her courage, little Velma gets to her feet, fists clenched. She draws a breath and...
I'm not afraid anymore! You can't control me!
Throws her arms out, blasting psychic energy right back at the evil woman. The impact of both psychic forces causes a fresh shockwave. The woman pushes back, but the little girl has found her strength.
You cannot control me anymore!
Her power grows. She pushes harder and harder.
You will never be rid of me! I will!
Velma squints at her meter reader.
What's happening?
It's working!
You got this, Velma!
Whatever that being is, its power is crumbling and reality is healing!
Below, little Velma forces the woman to the ground, forces her to her knees.
No! Yes!
A shockwave of energy explodes from the woman, and in one horrible moment, the world appears to rip wide open, only to suck back in on itself in an instant implosion. And then silence. Little Fred opens his eyes. Little Velma is laying over him protectively. He smiles through the pain he's feeling and touches her cheek.
I knew you could do it.
I'm not afraid anymore.
She embraces him.
Ow. It's okay. It's okay.
Scooby licks Shaggy's face, waking him.
Ah! Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good, Scoob. I'm good.
Little Daphne and Shaggy run down the stairs and to their friends. They all hug in the center of the food court. Daphne walks over to Fred, pointing her phone down on him. He is covered in Chinese food.
Would you like to make a statement, Mr. President?
Yeah. Never underestimate the protective power of orange chicken.
She helps him out of the mess. He winces, cradling his arm.
Oh, that looks bad.
Fred tenderly tests his arm.
Yeah, okay. That's broken.
Daphne removes her scarf and helps Fred move a bit more carefully. Velma, eyes on the meter, sweeps the food court. All around them, the remnants of the split realities are fading away. Shaggy walks over to the kids and pats his young counterpart on the shoulder.
Good work, little dudes. We're not little.
Aren't you, like, 12?
I'm 11.
Of course you are.
What are you, like 30? Ouch.
Scooby sniffs the pup in little Shaggy's backpack.
Are you us from the future?
We are actually parallel version of each other, coexisting on the same unstable wavelength of space-time.
The kids blink up at them.
Yeah. We're you from the future.
Velma looks down at the crack on the prism that represents this anomaly heel. The older kids step back as the four little friends and their puppy begin to fade out of existence. Daphne catches it all on her phone.
Bye-bye.
The kids wave until they've completely vanished. Exterior Merrymakers Amusement Park night. A crack on the crystal ball heals as well. Daphne smiles sweetly, acknowledging the victory. Exterior Coolsville Mall later. The gang exits the mall. Fred's arm is wrapped in a sling made out of Daphne's scarf. Velma fiddles with the cannon.
Calibration needs more adjusting.
Shaggy and Scooby are eating from a large container of Chinese food.
We should get Fred's arm looked at.
Lucky for us, our next bearing is in the direct path of the hospital.
Yeah? Anyone want to place bets on the next riff being in that exact spot?
Interior Hospital night. The gang stands in the entrance of the hospital, which has been torn to shreds by two realities warping into one another. The other world, a dreary-looking 1990s. The halls are empty and a low-hanging fog floats eerily before them.
I should buy a lotto ticket tomorrow.
Fred hands the quantum cannon to Shaggy.
Here, see if you're lucky with this.
Velma steps forward, the reader beeping. She nods to her friends and they proceed, cautiously. The hallway is silent save for their footfalls, which crunch on bits of glass and debris from the ceiling. There are pebbles strewn about as well. A wind whispers past them. It is a haunting setting. Scooby sniffs the air. He shivers, anxious.
I'm cold.
Yeah, I feel it too.
They approach the corner to the next hallway, and the dread thickens, slowing them all. Daphne puts her hand on Shaggy's shoulder and attempts to push him to the lead. He resists.
Shouldn't Velma go first? She's got that reader thingy.
You're carrying the cosmic flashlight.
Quantum cannon.
Velma, eyes still down on her device, puts a hand on Shaggy's other shoulder and shoves him.
Ooh.
He stumbles into the next hallway and raises the cannon, arms shaking. His eyes go wide. Before him, transparent and floating, a literal ghost whips around to face him. Behind the ghost, a shadow with a tall hat and cane melts into the wall.
Ghost!
Shaggy fires the cannon. The beam goes right through the translucent specter, which zips right at him. And in an instant, right through him, Shaggy hits the ground as the ghost continues down the hall and around the next corner. Velma takes quick steps to follow, holding the reader up.
That wasn't the primary.
Daphne points the camera down in Shaggy's face.
Norville Rogers, you just had an encounter with a ghost. Do you have anything to say?
Cold.
Scooby sniffs the strange slime left behind all over Shaggy's chest and tentatively licks it.
Scooby, don't lick the ghost goo.
Just as Shaggy wobbles to his feet. Crash! Loud noises come from the hall the ghost vanished to. Suddenly, a gurney, a shelf, a wheelchair, and countless items come crashing into view like some sort of metallic tidal wave. The gang backs away in fear just as the ghost who slimed Shaggy comes whipping back down the hall.
Look out!
They all duck except Shaggy, who the ghost goes right through again, leaving more slime on him as he falls backwards to the ground again. A split second later, 3 individuals in jumpsuits, wielding what appear to be proton packs, and their Dalmatian, come chasing after the ghost. They are a very serious Shaggy Rogers, a Daphne Blake, and, most surprising to Fred, as he sees him run by, a very academic-looking red Dr. Flam. This new group of doppelgangers pay no mind to the gang on the floor, even jumping over the downed Shaggy.
Stay frosty, gang. He can't get far.
The stability of the containment barrier won't hold much longer.
Then we capture these things before it falls and they start pulling tricks.
They quickly vanish around the corner.
Follow those usses?
Follow those usses!
Fred, Velma, and Daphne run after the new trio.
They didn't have a me. Do you think their red did something to him?
Shaggy and Scooby are left behind.
Wait!
Shaggy clambers to his feet, fumbling with the rifle.
Let's go, Scoob!
They run after the gang, but as soon as they turn the corner, Shaggy skids to a halt. The hallway before him is empty and somehow endlessly long. There are easily 100 doors before the pair.
What the fuck?
Interior hospital hallway continuous. Daphne and Velma round a corner. Velma with her head down. Daphne grabs her by the arm and stops her.
Vel, stop!
Velma looks up.
Jinkies.
The space before them is 1 part hospital hallway, 1 part dark cemetery. The ceiling is slowly peeling open, revealing a dark, cloudy sky, as the other reality folds into this one.
Hey, where'd the other usses go?
Velma bends down to look more closely at the merging border.
Other you. There was no Fred or myself.
You know what I mean.
Daphne looks around, suddenly realizing.
Hey, where's Fred?
As she turns, she comes face to face with the other Shaggy.
Oh!
Who are you two? And why do you look like Daphne?
Interior hospital continuous. Fred is standing in the middle of an open space. The walls of the hospital exist, but the ceiling is gone and the floor is mossy and rocky, with a scattering of crumbling headstones strewn about, all of it covered in a gray mist.
Hello? Velma? Daphne?
A figure appears in the mist, moving toward Fred.
Who's there?
The fog parts and the nervous face of Red appears.
Who are you?
You!
Fred lifts his fists, ready to attack.
Whoa! Wait. I'm not here to fight you.
Yeah, right. And what did you do to my friends?
Nothing! I've been separated from my friends as well. It's a shift in spectral forces, a trick of the spirits we've been hunting.
A long, chilling groan echoes around them. The air ripples. More of the hospital is consumed by the other world.
Interesting.
Fred makes a face at his supposed rival. Interior hallway night. Shaggy and Scooby are creeping slowly through the endless hallway. Shaggy keeps the quantum cannon raised in his quaking hands.
Guys! Guys!
All that returns to them are the echoes of their calls.
We're gonna have to open one of these doors, aren't we?
Scoob nervously sniffs the floor by the nearest door.
Don't like it.
We can't just stand here.
Can't we?
Shaggy thinks for a beat.
All right, fine.
He takes a deep breath, reaches for the closest knob, closes his eyes, and yanks the door open. Scooby peers timidly around Shaggy's legs.
Are they in there?
There's only darkness on the other side.
Nope.
Shaggy opens his eyes.
Huh.
Whoosh! A blast of wind hits Shaggy, whipping his hair around. Scooby ducks and covers. Shaggy looks into the darkness before him at a ghastly, monstrous ghoul, its ethereal skin sliding from its body as it takes shape. Shaggy slams the door and runs for it. Scooby flees the other direction. Down the hall, another disgusting ghost emerges from the wall and roars nastily at Shaggy. Shaggy blasts the cannon, but the beam only goes through the thing. Shaggy tries to not fall. He panics, grabs the nearest doorknob, whips it open, and runs through. Wham! Colliding with the ghost hunter Daphne. He rolls across the floor with her as the ghoul appears in the doorway.
Move.
Blake shoves Shaggy off of herself, lifts her particle accelerator, and blasts the ghoul. The ghostly figure vibrates and shrieks as it is disintegrated. The Dalmatian leaps over Shaggy and lands beside Daphne, releasing a device from his mouth. The device pops open and the dust of the ghoul is sucked into it in a brilliant wave of lights. Snap! The trap closes, smoke drifting off of it. Hunter Daphne lowers her weapon and nods to the dog.
Nice work, Scoob.
Scoob! As in Scooby-Doo?
Blake points her accelerator at Shaggy, who lifts his hands right over his head.
You're not Norville.
Yes, I am.
The Dalmatian Scooby growls.
I'm from a different reality, and this is my Scooby.
He realizes that his dog did not follow him into the room.
Scoob?
Shaggy spins in a circle, not finding his dog, and hurries back into the hallway. Interior, another hallway, night. Rogers, Hunter Shaggy, face hard and serious, exits from one door into a misty, fractured hallway with his accelerator tight in hand as he moves from door to door, testing knobs.
And we've been going location to location, sealing these rifts and running into other versions of ourselves. Like you.
Daphne follows behind him, filming. Velma follows with her head down, studying the meter reader.
These readings don't make sense. It's like the entire hospital is the anomaly.
That's the psychokinetic energy of the spirits.
Incredible.
So, tell me about your world. Who are you? Is your Daphne famous?
Rogers tests a door and moves to the next.
Famous? No.
Okay. What do you all do then?
We take cases involving ghosts, monsters, and supernatural phenomena.
You know, yesterday you would have sounded insane to me.
Velma moves directly to the alternate Shaggy's side.
You mean to tell me ghosts are real? And you confront and contain them?
Yeah.
He shoves a door open, sweeps back and forth with his accelerator, and steps through. Velma and Daphne follow. Unseen, behind them, a hulking, ghostly gentleman in a suit, cloak, top hat, and cane floats silently after them. Exterior graveyard, night. Red steps out from between two large headstones, Fred following closely behind. The doctor is cautiously peering back and forth, expecting an attack at any moment.
We were hired by the mayor to figure out how all these spirits were getting loose and haunting all of Goulsburg. When we cornered a particularly nasty specter. The thing about the door of the Shadow Realm, we have to find that door. It's a gateway to the Well of Souls, the underworld. When we crossed to this plane, we lost all sense of direction. We were able to put a barrier around the land, but as the worlds meld, the barrier's breaking, and that can mean all these spirits escape into our world and mine.
Sure, you didn't do something to open that door?
Me? Of course not. I've made it my life's work to banish ghosts.
Banish them? Or release them?
Banish them. Are you not listening to me?
Oh, I'm listening, all right. I'm just having a hard time believing you for 1 second, Red.
I don't know who you are or why you seem to have a problem with me, but I am a scientist working with my two friends to exterminate ghosts. And call me Dr. Flam, please.
Doctor? Doctor of what, huh? Jerkology?
Red leans closer to Fred, squinting into his face.
Are you unwell?
Fred throws his hands up in frustration.
I'm fine. I'm just... The Red I know isn't, well, smart. Or nice. Or anything like you.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Fred leans closer to the doc's face and squints even harder. A wind begins to blow.
Are you?
Shush.
Don't shush me.
Quiet.
Flam holds up a hand to silence Fred. Fred opens his mouth to protest, but he is silenced as the wind picks up, swirling around them. Dr. Flam tenses. The hair on Fred's arm rises.
What's happening?
Red positions himself protectively beside Fred, accelerator gripped tightly.
The specters.
Boom! From the surrounding graves, hands, legs, limbs, and bodies rise all at once. Wisps of ghostly energy whip all around the beings rising from the dead. Flam blasts his accelerator at the closest few.
There's too many! Run!
Interior hallway continuous. Shaggy, his entire focus on finding Scoob, marches down the hall. He opens a door, hurries through, and comes out another door a few exits down. He repeats this strange act of teleportation. In one door, somehow out another. Repeat. Hunter Daphne remains in the hall, her blaster ready for anything that might follow Shaggy out these doors. She and her Scoob watch Shaggy exit and enter and exit. She smiles slightly at Shaggy's concern.
He means a lot to you, doesn't he?
Of course. He's my pal.
Shaggy exits one door, enters another, and comes out another. Daphne understands. She frees one hand to pet her pup on the head.
I know how that feels.
Shaggy stops, breathing heavily. Daphne's heart goes out to him.
Scooby-Doo! Where are you?
Bang, bang, bang! All at once, a dozen of the doors swing open. Daphne and her Scoob ready themselves for an attack. Shaggy lifts his rifle and aims as well.
Does that thing work?
Sometimes.
Through the doors down the hall, several nasty ghosts appear. Daphne fires her accelerator, evaporating a few, but her weapon suddenly sparks and shorts out.
Look out!
From one of the doors down the hall, a small group of zombies emerge. Shaggy protectively moves past Daphne and fires at the undead. As they fall, he spins around and blasts down the hall at the ghosts Daphne didn't pop. His beam only goes through them.
Oh, damn it!
He takes Daphne by the hand and pulls her through the door the zombies came from. As they run through the twisted room/forest, on the other side, Dalmatian Scoob takes the lead.
Your gun break!
The power cell's drained.
Here!
As they run, Shaggy pulls the power pack from the quantum cannon and hands it to her.
Something tells me this'll work better for you!
Daphne grins and switches the cell in her accelerator for Shaggy's. It immediately powers up.
Rock and roll.
Exterior forest, night. Fred and Red run through the trees, the horde still pursuing them. The two young men leap over a line of bushes, but when they land, it is on a hillside. They slip and tumble head over heels down a bank onto a dark, wooded road. As they scramble to their feet, they are shocked to discover Hunter Shaggy standing over them with his accelerator aimed.
Rogers.
Daphne peeks over Hunter Rogers' shoulder.
Fred?
Daphne!
Velma appears beside Daphne with her reader in hand.
There appears to be a large group of beings coming this way.
Keep moving.
They all scramble away as over the lip of the hill, the group of creatures pursuing them appears. Rogers and Dr. Flam fire their accelerators as they run.
How's it going?
We have to find some gateway to this thing called the Well of the Souls, which goes to the Shadow Realm, which is pretty much hell, and I think Red might be responsible for all of this.
Daphne rolls her eyes and points her phone at the blasts of energy from the two ghost hunters. Interior hallway night. Shaggy and Hunter Daphne exit a door into the endless hallway again. The door snaps shut behind them. They have a moment to catch their breath.
Damn, back where we started. We're looping.
Well, maybe we'll find Scoob.
Shaggy opens a door and looks inside.
You are so unlike my Norville.
Boom! Ooh. The door Shaggy is about to open crashes open. Shaggy sent flying backwards as all their friends come running out.
Red!
No time, Blake. Keep moving.
Rogers' accelerator blazing, and Dalmatian Scooby leading the pack as they sprint down the hall. Dr. Flam and Velma follow in step. Fred kicks the door they came through closed.
Hurry, hurry, hurry!
Daphne points her phone at Shaggy as Hunter Daphne helps him off the floor and starts running too.
I've got you.
Thanks!
The two Daphnes run side by side. Daphne looks her Hunter doppelganger over.
Oh, I like this look.
What's going on?
There's a door to the underworld that's spitting out the dead, and our doubles are trying to close it, but I think there's a chance Red is the bad guy here.
Hunter Daphne gives a look. Shaggy shrugs.
I'm sorry about him.
More ghosts and ghouls exit through the walls and doors as Rogers and Blake blast anything in their path. Flam and Velma notice one another's devices.
Nice tech. What's yours do?
Detects echoes of ectoplasmic energy linked to the Well of Souls. Yours?
It pinpoints rifts in space-time.
The floor suddenly shifts and the heroes all slip and trip. Reality bends and folds in on itself and then snaps level.
Yuck. What the hell do we do?
We have to find the underworld portal. Check every door.
Everyone moves fast, opening doors and running through, coming out from other doors, crossing the hallway, ghosts, ghouls, and zombies chasing the teams chasing creatures. At one point, Scooby runs one way past Shaggy, running the other. Shaggy realizes a split second too late as his dog vanishes through a door.
Scoob!
Blake takes Shaggy's hand and pulls him out of the way of a large ghost. They keep running. Fred comes out of a door and stops, annoyed. His friends continue to run around him. He looks back and forth.
This is stupid.
Daphne comes out of a door and slams it on a zombie.
Got any better ideas?
Fred watches Dr. Flam and Velma race by.
If they're coming from the underworld, they're coming from underneath us, right?
Fred looks around. His eyes lock on an elevator at one end of the hall that wasn't there before.
That's a door.
Down the other end of the hall, the ghastly ghost gentleman appears. He glares through the ongoing crisscrossing figures, snarling as Fred hurries to the elevator and smashes the button with his fist.
Got it!
Ding! Whoosh! The door opens and a vortex of light and wind rush from inside.
Got it!
Well done, Fred.
Not you.
Rogers blasts a lasso of energy from around a creature and pulls the being into the elevator. Fred dodges the body as it whips by.
Flush them this way!
Blake slides to her knees and blasts her accelerator into a collection of ghosts, corralling them down the hallway. Her Scoob chases ghosts while barking. As the ghosts' numbers begin to dwindle, the gentleman floats forward, spectral energy whipping around him.
Cease your meddling!
Rogers and Blake fire their accelerators at the being, but with a flick of his cane, he deflects the beam away, scorching the walls. The vortex sucking in the spirits roars louder and louder. The reality is bending, the last slivers of the hospital. Velma and Dr. Flam aim their devices at the awful phantom as he slowly glides toward them all.
Whatever otherworldly power he holds, I cannot process it.
He's harnessing the power of the vortex.
This world and all others shall belong to...
The gentleman jerks back, his cloak caught on something. He turns to see what's holding him and balks at the sight of... Scooby-Doo, holding the man's cloak in his teeth, growling.
Hey, let go!
Though the wind keeps whipping down the hall, the gentleman begins a tug-of-war with the Great Dane. He swings his cane, missing the dog.
Stop this at once!
The large specter struggles, and the hunters, Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy all blink in a state of surprise. Fred frowns, annoyed, and marches past them all, directly to the large, terrible spirits.
Enough with the damn ghosts!
Just as the gentleman gives up on fighting Scooby and faces Fred, pow! Fred punches him in the face. Scooby releases the cloak. The spectral energy all around the being flickers and is snuffed out. The man spins about, tangled in his own cloak. He gets free, only to, pow! Receive a second punch to the face. Even the remaining ghosts not yet sucked into the vortex stop to stare at the scene. Rogers moves toward the ghost man, laying in a heap on the floor, and snatches his cane from his hand. The moment he does, the wind and energy all around them lessens. Only the glow of the vortex remains. Rogers tosses the cane to Dr. Flam, who catches it. He and Velma aim their readers at the staff.
It's the staff of the Jaguar, made by hunters of secrets to control the underworld.
But it's been meshed with some sort of tech.
It looks like one of my own spectrokinetic deflectors.
Not very ghost-like.
Fred reaches down to the gentleman and yanks the ghostly face off the man to reveal
Mr. Jenkins.
Daphne, phone in hand, zooms on the familiar face of Jenkins.
Mister this time, huh?
You're the one who released all the spirits from the Well of Souls?
But why?
The town would have had to bend to my will and my army of the dead, and I would have gotten away with it too.
The two Scoobies growl at the man.
If I may?
With a nod of approval from Dr. Flam, Velma takes the staff and chucks it into the elevator. In an instant, the last of the ghouls, ghosts, and zombies are pulled into the portal. With a pop of light and a gust of wind, the darkness that has been enveloping the building is pulled away like a curtain. The hospital warps and becomes a simple hall of a hospital. The impossible walls and endless doors vanish, and soon they are standing in an unbroken reality, with the last shades of the encroaching world melting away. Interior hospital hallway moments later. The nightmare is over. The gangs stand near the elevator. The visitors prepare to be sent home. Rogers stands stoically holding his Jenkins and waiting for his team. Daphne films and narrates.
Another villain apprehended, another successfully sealed rift. It's been quite the evening for our merry band of heroes.
She points the cam at Rogers.
Let's see if the leader of these intrepid ghost hunters has any final words of wisdom.
Jaw clenched tightly, he does not acknowledge the camera.
A man of few words, I see.
Good job, everyone. Let's go, team.
A few feet away, Velma and Dr. Flam are chatting. Flam is taking a last look at the reader meter.
It's a fine piece of technology, my friend.
Thank you, Dr. Flam.
Please, call me Red.
Fred rolls his eyes.
You should probably get going, Doc. We've got a few more of these universe-ending threads to retangle, and you gotta get back to your little ghost hunting gigs.
Flam smiles and pats Fred on the shoulder. Fred flinches away childishly.
I'm glad our version of Fred Jones isn't as paranoid. He would never have become mayor.
Flam walks to the lift, leaving Fred making a face.
Be cautious. The power levels are rising.
I've noticed that after each primary rift is sealed.
Your experiment was parallel to when Jenkins here used the spear. That opened the gateway that started this for us. But maybe that wasn't a coincidence after all.
Any thoughts on that, mister?
I was compelled!
A disconcerting notion.
What seems like separate things could very well be the same.
Flam steps to the edge of the elevator and glances back at the gang.
Dark creatures lurk in all shadows, and magic always comes with a price, no matter which plane of existence you're from. Good luck to you all.
And with a final salute, he and Rogers step into the portal with Jenkins.
What an asshole. Right? Am I right?
No one is acknowledging Fred. Blake walks to the elevator with Shaggy. She stops, faces him, and gives Shaggy a kiss on the cheek. Both Scoobies look up, tails wagging. Daphne lowers her phone, making a face. Fred raises his brow in amused surprise. Velma isn't paying attention, tinkering with the quantum cannon again.
I hope we find a way to cross paths again, Norville.
I, would like that.
She squeezes his hand, moves to the lift with her Scoob beside her, gives Shaggy a final smile, and steps through.
Good luck.
With a final blink of light, the doors close and the last of the hospital's bent reality is healed. Velma lifts her reader meter and the prism heals at the same moment. Exterior, Merrymaker's amusement park night. The crystal ball glows, the crack is healed. Frederick looks down at his feet, at the ground, and the two realities melding together. One pushes against the other, melting it out of existence.
They did it! But
The barriers are growing stronger.
we're all running out of time!
We must have faith in our new allies.
Valaria and Daphne hold hands and look down at the crystal ball. The two remaining cracks pulse. Above, the sky ripples with reality-bending waves. Two skies smash together as a bolt of lightning tears through the sky. Thunder echoes and the vibrating thrum of it becomes... Interior Blake Industries assembly floor night. A machine gun riddling a row of iron and steel in a factory. An older woman hobbles/runs by, barely ahead of the bullets. She is desperately reloading a shotgun. She dives around a corner and the bullet fire ceases. The world that was is a bottling plant for bathroom products. The world that has encroached is a steel mill of sorts, with massive machinery, blast furnaces, gangplanks, chains, and metalworks. The older woman finishes loading her gun and gets to her knee, aiming back the way she came. A glow of fiery orange light from the smelting pot allows us to see her clearly. A gray-haired, older Daphne in a tank top. She's been beat to shit, blood from cuts and sweat dripping from her skin. She gets to her feet and runs for better cover. Down the gangplank, a heavy-booted foot slams down with a loud clang. We rise to see the leg, the fabric torn on the jeans, the torso slashed across the abs, blood dripping in glistening metal where bone should be on a large, muscular body, and finally, the remains of a face. On one side, an exposed metal skull with a fiercely glowing red eye socket. On the other side of the head, the bloody, emotionless face of Fred. Cyborg Fred raises his muscular arm and with a flick of his thumb, releases the empty clip from his huge machine gun. He shoves another clip in and pulls the bolt back to chamber the first round. He stomps forward into the factory, sweeping the gun back and forth, searching for the woman. Blam! Older Daphne flings herself over a rail above and unloads on the cyborg. Each shot tears another piece off the human skin and clothes from the metal man. Cyborg Fred twists impossibly at the waist, aiming upwards and blasting at the woman. Only a few bullets fly when, from his right, a German Shepherd leaps out of the machinery and latches onto the cyborg's arm. Fred loses footing as the dog yanks with all its might. Scum! The cyborg lifts its fist to smash it down on the vicious dog when from his left a flash of metal glints in the instant before a fire axe slices the robot's arm clean off. An older Velma, bleeding terribly, follows the momentum of the axe and falls to the floor at the cyborg's feet. The metal monster kicks the poor woman, and she rolls away like a rag doll, landing against rails down the way. The cyborg whips around, sending the German Shepherd Scooby-Doo flying into the machinery with a horrible bastard! Older Daphne throws herself over the rail and fires her shotgun as she soars downward. She lands on the cyborg and both of them topple to the ground. Daphne rolls and in an instant starts unloading the shotgun into it. Boom! It staggers back. Ka-chack! She chambers another round. Boom! It staggers back again. Ka-chack! Boom! And again and again. The last bits of Fred are blown off as the cyborg shifts back a step and Daphne advances with each shot. The dents forming on his exoskeleton are becoming too numerous. His power is waning. She fires again and again, her eyes blazing with feral intensity. She walks it back right to the edge of the pit of molten steel. Ka-chack! Click! She's empty. The cyborg is right at the edge. She has only seconds before it will recover. She's failed. Her body's broken. She looks down and sees Velma a few meters away, eyes closed and most likely dead. She looks over at Scooby, also bleeding out. Now it will kill them all. Except her fingers touch her hip pouch.
Damn dog.
She pulls out a grenade, flicks the pin out with her thumb, and looks the cyborg in its glowing red eyes.
How about a Scooby snack, you son of a bitch?
She shoves the grenade into the thing's chest and dives backward. The grenade explodes inside the metal monster. A huge hole is blown clean through it, and it is ripped open and peeled back, half inside out. It topples into the molten steel, and Fred's head and upper body reappear above the molten steel. It is screaming, a terrifying, inhuman siren of a scream. Its body melts and rends and slips beneath the surface of the boiling fire. We see liquid silver running in, dissipating whorls over the superheated surface until it vanishes, swirling into nothing. The empty shotgun slips from Daphne's fingers, clatters to the floor. She collapses, spent, broken. She sits slumped against the rail of the pit and breathes in jagged gulps. She shifts and pulls Velma's limp body into her lap and touches her hair.
It's over, Vel. It's over.
A noise draws her attention. She looks up as her German Shepherd crawls painfully into her arms and licks her face.
Good boy, Scoop. Good boy.
She pets the dog lovingly.
We need a vacation.
They sit there, breath slowing, slumped against the rail overlooking the molten steel, where the last glimmer of the horrible cyborg melts into the bubbling liquid fire. She holds Velma's body. On her other side, Scooby lays.
We did it. This is over.
Scrape! Scrape! Weakly, her eyes lift. Down the platform, the bloody robotic arm of Cyborg Fred is dragging itself. It's coming for her. Shakily, Daphne lifts her pistol. Click, click. It's empty.
Shit.
Scrape. Bang! The emergency exits open, revealing Fred, Velma, Shaggy, Daphne, and Scooby-Doo.
Whoa!
Older Daphne looks over at them, confused but too weak to do anything about these newcomers.
More bots.
The Daphne at the door lowers her phone and locks eyes with her elder counterpart. They move to the older woman, though Velma is sweeping the reader meter back and forth. Scooby gets nose to nose with the wounded German Shepherd who nuzzles the Great Dane.
Well, if Scooby approves.
She looks up at them all.
We're from an alternate reality that's colliding with yours. We're here to stop it. What was the event that caused your world to crash into ours?
Scrape. They all look over at the crawling, bloody robotic arm.
Is that an arm?
Destroy it. The singularity.
Velma's reader beeps.
When Jenkinet went live, gained sentience, broke reality. It's gonna kill everything. All that's left is the AI. Is in that arm. Destroy it.
Velma moves to the arm and her reader goes nuts.
It's the source!
Daphne takes quick steps, grabs the arm, and throws it into the molten steel. It lands with a plop and glows red as it submerges.
Good job.
Around them, the steel mill begins to groan and bend. The two realities start separating. The dark metal world slowly forms back into the bright, clean, sterile bubble bath bottling plant. The anomaly has been fixed. The gang steps away from older Daphne as she puts her arm tightly around the Velma in her lap, and her Scoob pushes himself close to her body. She lifts her hand and gives them all a thumbs up, which is the last thing to vanish as reality is set right. The gang stands there, staring at the spot the woman had been. Fred glances at Daphne.
You okay?
Yeah, that was a lot.
Scooby's ears go straight up.
What is it?
The earth trembles violently. It is a brief but large earthquake. They all brace themselves until it passes.
Zoinks!
What was that?
Velma taps the screen on her reader, frowning.
Whatever quantum splicing happens while the universes re-entangle, there's a spike at the other locations. The instability of the space-time around Merrymakers is off the charts.
For the first time, Velma sounds genuinely afraid.
We gotta go tell the others and finish this before the power levels gets too high for us to contain.
She moves for the exit without waiting for a response. Scooby follows at her heels. Shaggy quickly follows as well. Fred gets to the door and looks back. Daphne is looking at the spot where the older self had been.
Daphne?
She kneels and picks up the shotgun and belt of slugs that remain behind.
Yeah, I'm good. Let's finish this.
She hurries to the exit. Exterior, Merrymakers Amusement Park, night. Reflected in Valaria's glasses, the sky swirls with fractures of eerie light. She pushes the frames tighter to her face. The park has nearly vanished. The last remnants of rickety rides and booths have been consumed by a forest of twisted, gnarled trees and crumbling medieval stone structures. The van skids into the grounds and slides to a stop. The gang jumps out, the wind whipping their hair and clothes about.
Come on!
They hurry toward the center structure where the mystical group of four are standing, looking into the sky with their arms raised, struggling to keep the reality solid. The central point of the entire convergence is a stony platform where the merry-go-round once stood. It is now surrounded by ancient carved statues of eldritch beings not unlike Stonehenge. The wild wind keeps attempting to blow the gang over as they run up to the magical group.
You did it!
Yeah, no problem whatsoever.
Their cloaks flap loudly, the amulets on their necks glow.
Make haste! We have begun our ritual to seal reality!
Daphne raises her phone.
I guess this is it then.
Velma looks at the reader meter. The final crack is glowing brightly at the center of the 5 other points. Scooby snorts at the meter as Velma fiddles with it.
There's only one more world to seal away.
Lightning cracks, met by an instant of roaring thunder.
Quickly, give us your prism.
Right.
Velma reaches into her meter and removes the prism. She holds it up, the thing vibrating in her hand. Valeria extends her hand, her eyes wide and eager. Scooby snorts, his ears straight up. Velma flicks her wrist, tossing the prism, and just before it reaches the outstretched hand of the mystic Velma, Scooby jumps through the air and snatches it in his mouth.
Scoob, no!
Scooby runs away from the mystics, and Shaggy and Fred move quickly to corral the Great Dane.
Scooby, stop!
Drop it! Drop the crystal!
No! Control your dog!
Daphne keeps filming. Daphnio steps forward, a flicker of magic igniting in her palms.
Stop that creature! Now!
Scoob, what are you doing?
Bad, bad, bad!
Fred slips and falls in front of Daphnio. He looks up at her and tries to play it off.
Really sorry about this.
Daphnio does not smile back. She points her fingers, and a blast of magic hits the ground in Scooby's path. Scooby jumps over the blast and keeps running. Daphne is shocked by her counterpart's attack.
Whoa, is that necessary?
Mystic Shaggy steps forward, both palms extended, as a spell forms around him.
Canis subsisto!
Whoosh! A large blast hits Scooby and sends him into the air. The prism flies from his mouth. Shaggy, arms out, catches his dog. They both fall to the dirt. Fred catches the prism. He frowns.
Hey!
Shaggy gets to his feet beside Scooby.
Scoob, what's going on?
Bad, bad! Give us the crystal!
Hold on just a second.
Scooby growls at the magical four.
Silence, mongrel! Be gone!
Scoob, stay.
Scooby plants his feet beside Shaggy. Fred, Daphne, and Velma all stand in front of their dog, and Shaggy glaring at their magical counterparts.
You command your creature!
Yeah, we do.
Daphnio lowers her head, the shadow of her hood darkening her face.
In our world, we do not command our Scoop-Thulu.
Scoop-Thulu commands us.
A darkness forms around the four magic wielders.
Did they just say Scoop-Thulu?
The four mystics reach into the sky, center to the platform, and an awful, deafening tearing sound causes the non-magic gang to grab their ears and fall to the ground at the magnitude of the sound. A tear in all of time and space is formed above them, and on the other side is a vast, star-strewn galactic field. Within that field, impossibly massive, a creature appears. It is gigantic, slick with pus and ooze and dripping with viscera of eons of death and torment. Its face turns toward the rift, and its ancient eye dilates.
Come to us, oh ancient master!
Should we?
Run!
The gang runs for it in utter horror. Magic blasts impact around them, but they don't look back.
They're trying to destroy our reality and sacrifice to that thing!
Shaggy points at the prism still clutched in Fred's fist.
We can't let them get that!
It's the last thing they need to open that gateway!
Boom! A blast of magic explodes a tree.
Zoinks!
They all dive into the van. Fred has the engine roaring and pedal to the floor before they've all landed on the shag carpet. Dirt kicks up, tires spinning. They're off like a shot. A portal appears in front of the van, and they drive right through it, coming out driving straight toward the stone platform where the four mystics stand.
Shit!
Fred pulls the wheel hard and narrowly misses, crashing into the base of one of the ancient stone statues. Another portal appears. He can't dodge it, and they drive through it and out of the other side of the platform.
It is too late for your world! The gate is open! Scoop-Thulu's time is now!
Shaggy leans out the window of the van and looks up at the rip in reality. The being on the other side, Scoop-Thulu, has the vague appearance of a dog.
Here, you hold this!
Fred gives Velma the prism and grips the wheel, dodging the next portal and racing into the vestiges of the amusement park, attempting to fold back into reality. On the platform, Daphnio snarls.
Norvis, retrieve them.
Norvis throws off his cloak, tilts his head back.
Easy. This will only be 10% of my power.
His body contorts, muscle and fur peels from his skin, and he becomes a horrid wolfman. He launches himself forward and with inhuman speed races through a portal that spits him out beside the van. Wham! Wolf Shaggy slams into the side of the van, rocking it off two of its wheels. Fred levels the van out.
The hell?
Is that a werewolf?
Daphne shoves her phone into her pocket and grabs the shotgun. She pushes the slugs in, leans out the window. Wolf Shaggy leaps at the van and blam! Takes a shot right in the face and falls away. Fred pulls the wheel hard as a Ferris wheel appears from the rippling reality. On the platform, Daphnio nods at her Fred. Frederick launches himself into the air, wings tearing from his back. He sails into a portal and lands hard on the roof of the van. Daphne points her shotty straight up and blam! Fires directly through the skylight. Frederick dodges, reaches in, grabs the gun, and pulls, but Daphne doesn't let go and goes right out the window with the gun. On the roof, dangling from the Winged Nightmare's clutches, she looks him right in the eyes.
No touching.
She kicks him square in the balls.
Ooh.
He lets her go and slips from the roof. Daphne manages to grab the edge of the broken skylight and hangs on tightly. Inside, Velma is aggressively fiddling with the quantum cannon. Shaggy and Scooby are being tossed around the cabin by Fred's erratic driving. In the sky, Scoop Thulu reaches the tear in space-time. His entire eyeball fills the large rip. On the platform, Valaria raises her hands to the ancient being.
My lord, grant me strength!
Power forms in her hands and she fires a blast of energy across the battlefield. Boom! It hits the van and flings it onto its side. The van slides across the dirt, wedging between a thick mangled tree and a half-formed game booth of stuffed toys. Bam! The back door of the van opens and Shaggy and Scooby tumble out, cuts all over. Daphne wobbles out, trying to reload the shotgun. Fred claws out of the front seat.
We gotta do something.
Shaggy looks to the sky as Scoop Thulu's mighty paw slips through the reality tear and begins to pull it open.
Something fast!
Velma crawls out of the van with her prism in her one hand and the quantum cannon in the other. She places the prism on the ground and powers up the cannon.
Step back.
Daphne, Fred, and Shaggy realize a split second before they can do anything. At the same time, behind them, a bleeding werewolf Shaggy and Winged Fred are racing from the shadows as fast as they can move. Velma pulls the trigger. Pow! Crack! Boom! A shockwave erupts from the prism as Velma shoots it, sending everyone flying. A tornado of energy busts from the shattered crystal, and the energy fog that had filled the lab forms all around them in a spinning vortex.
Velma, what did you do?
From the fog, the paramilitary gang falls out and lands in a heap at Fred's feet. The Doberman growls at Fred.
Oh, shit.
The kids at the mall tumble before Velma.
It worked!
The ghost hunters appear before Shaggy, he and Blake seeing one another. Her Dalmatian looks around. And finally, the older Daphne and her German Shepherd, portions of their bodies now enhanced with robotics, step out of the mist directly in front of Daphne. Daphne blinks in shock and holds up the shotgun.
I think this is yours.
Thanks.
The new arrivals all look up at the horror, attempting to rip open the sky.
What the hell is this?
A version of all of us is attempting to bring forth a galactic being to wreak havoc on all of time and space.
Without a moment for another word, the werewolf lands in the center of the gathered and slashes at Velma. Blood spurts from her stomach, but in an instant...
No!
Little Velma shoves her hands forward and a blast of telekinetic energy tears the skin and fur off the monster. Dr. Flam catches Velma, clutching her stomach wound. The wolf hits the dirt. Fred X steps over him and blasts him in the chest. The amulet around his neck shatters. The instant it does, green energy shoots from it, enveloping his bleeding wolf form and the paramilitary team. The fully armed fighters and the wolf vanish from reality. The earth shakes violently and reality bends all around them. Flam places Velma gently on the ground. Scooby licks her hand.
The amulets hold their power.
It must be some sort of anchor.
What does that mean?
We break the anchors, we send them back to their own worlds.
Simple enough.
Older Daphne reloads her shoddy. Ka-chunk. Fred picks up the last large shard of the prism.
What should we do with this?
Winged Frederick soars out of the sky above and grabs Fred, lifting him airborne. Rogers and Blake whip out their accelerators and fire at the flying man, their beams grabbing him by the ankles. He jerks and Fred slips from his grip. Little Velma extends her arms and stops Fred midair. Valaria fires a wave of dark magical energy at the group. Shaggy scoops up his younger self as Scoob grabs little Fred and flings him away from the wave. Dr. Flam covers Velma with his body as Daphne, older Daphne, and little Daphne all dive behind the van. From a portal before them, Daphnio emerges, hands inflamed. She blasts them, but older Daphne deftly leaps over the energy. Superhero lands in front of the wicked woman and points her shoddy into the evil being's chest.
Smile, sweetie.
Blam! She shatters the amulet, and in a wave of purple light, she and Daphnio begin to vanish. Older Daphne looks back at the two other Daphnes and nods, tossing the shoddy back to Daphne. Her German Shepherd runs to her side just as they disappear.
Wow. No time for wow. Move!
Daphne takes her younger self's hand and runs for it, passing little Velma, who is launching psychic blasts at Valaria, and then past Rogers and Blake, struggling to rope the winged Fred. Dalmatian Scooby waits with the trap, eyes locked on the sky.
You dare to try to capture me?
Winged Fred struggles against the beams of the hunters' accelerators holding him. He pulls with all his might, and the two hunters are dragged a few meters across the ground. Above, Scoob Thulu roars and tries to reach his horrible paw through the tear. On the platform, Valaria points at her child doppelganger and fires a thin, piercing beam. Shaggy dives at the little girl, shoving her out of the way while taking the beam of magic through his side. Blake loses focus of their winged prey.
Norville!
She runs to him. Rogers grunts as he begins to lose control of the winged monster. Fred runs to Rogers.
Breaking free!
Scoob Thulu, grant me dominion!
The eldritch being in the sky roars so loudly even his disciples clutch their ears. Blake gets to Shaggy and puts a hand on his bleeding side.
Ow, 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 ow!
I've got you.
No, don't! Worry about me or whatever. We gotta stop that thing!
Scooby runs by, snatching Blake's accelerator right off her side. He races to Fred and tosses it to him. Fred looks down and, surprised, flicks the flashing red button and blam, fires into the sky alongside Rogers. Fred lassos one of the wings. The evil Fred flaps as hard as he can to not fall. Velma reaches over and grabs the quantum cannon off the ground beside Dr. Flam. She aims it at the winged evil. Blam! A beam of energy from the cannon hits the amulet directly on Fred's chest. Pow! A burst of blue energy. He evaporates, screaming. No! Shaggy has an instant to look into Blake's face before she and her ghost hunting friends vanish too.
Thanks.
On the platform, Valaria is stunned to watch her last companion vanish from this reality.
Curse you all!
She reaches to the heavens, pulling power from Scoob Thulu. Scoob Thulu's mighty paw pulls the sky, tearing the world and sending massive chunks of space rocks and drool through. The rock and scorching globes of acid smashes into the ground all around the heroes. Daphne throws little Daphne at Fred as a line of acid slashes across her back. She rolls to the ground. Fred manages to catch the little girl with his good arm, but they fall to the dirt painfully as he lands on his broken arm. Little Velma projects her wave of psychic energy above them as a shield. Little Fred pulls his backpack off and unzips it to reveal a collection of fireworks. Little Shaggy runs to his friend.
Scoob!
From Little Shaggy's backpack, the pup pops out with a lighter in his mouth. He drops it into Shaggy's hand. The kid catches it, slides across the grass on his knees.
Freddy!
Pow! The kids launch fireworks directly at the evil woman. Scooby-Doo runs full tilt at Valaria, leaping at her back, but she whips around and catches the Great Dane by the throat.
You are a disgrace to our ancient master!
Hey!
The evil woman turns to see Shaggy limping toward her. Behind him, Fred has gotten up, gripping the quantum cannon. Daphne, ka-chunk, aims the shotgun, and Velma stands with the 4 little kids. Velma snarls at them, scoffs, and throws Scooby-Doo aside.
So be it.
There's a moment where the swirls of galactic energy, Scoob Thulu's roars, and the wind all settle, as though all of reality is taking a breath. And then Valeria launches herself at the heroes, magic blasting. Little Velma deflects the power. At the same instant, Fred fires a shot from the cannon, and Little Shaggy sends a firework. Valaria twists around both, and the crossfire hits each, sending the kid flying off his feet, and Fred taking a firework to the stomach. Shaggy runs up and throws a punch at the evil woman, catching her chin, but she spins and smacks him aside with ease. Daphne ducks under Shaggy, flying over her head, and races forward, firing the shotty. Blam! Valaria takes it to the leg. She bends but snaps right back and sends a spell at Daphne, who's hit full in the chest and flung backward. Pow! Another firework blasts into the Mystic Woman's back. She turns to retaliate on Freddy, but little Velma freezes her. She shrieks, and lasers fire from her eyes. Velma is barely a second fast enough to pick up the little girl.
Look out!
Fred runs forward and swings the cannon at Valaria's head, but she throws her hand out and grabs the rifle, shattering it in her grip. Shit! Fred panics and throws a punch, which the evil woman spins around, grabs him by the shirt front, and throws him into the 2 boys. They crash to the ground. Scooby-Doo scampers forward, teeth bared. Valaria sweeps her leg and kicks the dog in the chest. The mystic villain stands over the fallen heroes.
Do you not see? Do you not understand what this is?
Scoob Thulu is pulling through.
This is a fate long since written. All roads and all realities have been driving towards this, and there is nothing you can do to stop it!
The ancient creature roars, its entire face through the tear now.
The end of all worlds begins here!
Velma is the only one able to get to her feet, blood dripping from her lip and nose.
Maybe it is inevitable. Maybe it is fate. And maybe you have won.
She takes a defiant step toward her villainous double.
But what the hell is wrong with your amulet? What?
Valaria looks down, and her glasses fall right off her face.
Ah! My glasses!
She bends quickly to the ground, desperately feeling all around for her fallen spectacles.
No!
Velma walks right up to the panicked woman, reaches for the back of her cloak, and pulls the amulet off her neck. Valaria has an instant to look up in horror as Velma smashes the amulet on the stone. Orange light erupts from the gem. In a wave of energy, the mad woman is shredded into oblivion. The kids have a moment of joy, cheering as they are whisked back to their own world. Daphne manages to get her phone up in time to capture the triumph. Velma covers her eyes from the blinding orange light until it's no more. Shaggy gets to his feet, coughing, Scooby coming to his side. Above, Scoob Thulu is pulling himself through. The hurricane force around them is still going.
What do we do now?
We can't just stand here and watch this play out.
The four of them stare up at the nightmare crawling into their world. They are beaten, bleeding, and bruised.
Well, we were supposed to observe all variations, right?
Velma's eyes light up.
Daphne! That's it!
Velma runs. They all exchange a look of confusion and quickly follow, all of them limping and struggling. As they dodge around falling debris, Velma shouts back at them.
That rift is giving off massive amounts of particles, like the experiment!
Yeah!
We have to set up the experiment again!
At the van, the doors fly open and Velma begins throwing aside the mess of beanbag guts and Shaggy's supplies.
The original experiment?
Precisely.
She finds her huge backpack and pulls out materials.
Fred, clear out a smooth surface.
Got it!
Fred grunts as he moves.
Shaggy, pop the hood and attach this to your battery.
Okay!
Shaggy hobbles to the front of the van.
Daphne, point this at... that. On it.
Daphne takes the piece of equipment and plants it in the dirt, pointing it at the creature. She moves swiftly back to Velma and grabs a roll of duct tape. She secures her phone to the bumper, filming. The earth begins to quake, causing them all to lose their footing, but they keep at it.
The power from the portal has to go through the untangler and hit the screen.
Fred clears a space.
Does this work?
Yes. It split reality the first time because we observed it. And as long as we don't look at it, it'll spread across the spectrum, across all realities.
The machine hums as Shaggy connects the van's battery to it. A spark shoots out at Shaggy.
Yeah!
And he pulls his hands free.
It won't be able to coalesce in any reality.
They gather around the machine Velma is cobbling together as fast as she can.
We can't look at it?
Correct. We have to look away. Our perspective is the only one that holds any power anymore.
Shaggy looks up at the beast, its entire head now firmly in their reality.
Kinda looks like he's got plenty of power.
No, in order for the rift to remain open, he needs acknowledgement of the observers.
That's insane!
We don't have any other choice.
We gotta try.
Fred shoves the broken prism into the machine. They all look one last time at one another, turn their backs to the ancient creature, hold hands, and close their eyes. Velma throws the power switch. Shakoom! A beam of particles explodes from the machine, through the crystal and into the sky. The portal energy slips around Scoob Thulu, who screams deeply. The power is sent right back, and the machine shakes violently from all the power being forced into it and down to a thin line of superheated particles. All around them, reality bends and fractures, showing every world and more that could and has been. The gang all keep their eyes closed, holding onto one another. Scoob Thulu fights it, but the tear begins to close around it. All of broken reality is being sucked into the tear.
What's happening?
It's working! Keep your eyes closed!
In the hurricane of power and galactic energy, Scooby is suddenly yanked off his paws. Shaggy feels Scooby pull away. He hangs on tightly.
I gotcha! Zoinks!
Shaggy is pulled off his feet too. Daphne squeezes his hand, but she is pulled too. She's holding on so tightly to Velma that Velma follows.
Jinkies!
All their hands still closed tightly. Fred holds onto Velma's other hand and hooks his broken arm around the shattered back window of the van, anchoring them as they're all being sucked toward the closing rift, which grows smaller and smaller as the power pulling them grows stronger and stronger. And then the rip in space-time snaps shut in a final pop. The entire world goes silent. The machine dings like a microwave. All the lights on it turn green. The gang falls to the ground in a heap. The dust settles.
Did we do it?
Velma looks up, pushing her glasses tightly to her face.
We did.
Shaggy and Scooby help one another to sit up.
I got you, Scoob.
Scooby licks Shaggy's face. Daphne pushes her hair out of her face and smiles. She turns to the van, to her camera.
This is Coast to Coast with Daphne Blake. What you have just witnessed is a feat of science never before attempted or accomplished. The whole of reality stood on the brink of annihilation, but thanks to the vigilance of these students, myself included, the world has been set right.
The gang stands there, victorious, over the remains of the park. The sun rises. It is over. Exterior, Coolsville, Ohio, morning. The sun shimmers over the small town. There are no hints that any strange occurrences even happened. It is just an ordinary day. Through the clouds, a small biplane rumbles by, peacefully flying over the peaceful town. We pan down to the campus. Interior lecture hall, day. Fred, arm in a proper sling now, is standing and speaking with an exasperated Professor Jenkins.
We fixed all of reality, sir. How can a C+ be all we get?
Mr. Jones.
We consulted with 5 other realities. That's way more than anyone else did.
I am aware.
Daphne's vids have over 1 million views already. Granted, half the comments are that we faked everything, but that's besides the point. That's worth way more than slightly above average.
Social media has no bearing on my grading. And I'm sure the videos Ms. Blake didn't post show that you broke the universe in the first place, Mr. Jones.
Sir, admit it. You're impressed by the mere fact that all this happened.
The professor crosses his arms and leans back.
Tell me, Mr. Jones, could you repeat your findings?
Tell me, Professor. Would you want us to?
Jenkins frowns. Fred grins. Checkmate. Jenkins acquiesces.
B.
Yes!
Minus.
But...
Let it go. You've had enough victories for 1 week, Mr. President.
Fred makes a face but relents.
We'll take it.
Exterior campus, day. Students walk about to and from class. On a small stage in the quad, the Hex Girls are playing a set. There's a small crowd enjoying the show. Thorn gives a wave. Nearby, seated in the shade of a tree, Velma is watching. She blushes and waves in return. Daphne is beside her, filming. In the grass next to the girls, Shaggy and Scooby are chilling, eating an array of snacks.
You know, they're actually pretty great.
They are.
Daphne notices Deacon nervously walking up to her.
Keep walking, creeper.
He scoffs and turns away. Fred approaches, passing a very sour Red, who is walking with Braden, and met by Deacon. Red sneers at Fred as a few students wave at their new class president.
Thanks for the votes.
Fred gets to his friends.
Well?
B-.
B-? I've never gotten a B- in my life!
Me either!
That's only 5% better.
You argued for us to get 5% better?
Fred!
All we can ask is for incremental change, Miss Dinkley.
How very diplomatic.
This next one is for my beautiful girlfriend, Velma.
The gang all look up to the stage as the next song begins.
Hey, you guys, maybe want to hang out some more? Outside of class, I mean, like this?
They all look at one another. None of them are against the idea.
We can hunt down the remaining anomalies left over from the untangling.
Plenty of residual Scoob-Thulu out there in the world.
Velma reaches into her backpack at her feet and pulls out a brand new reader meter.
Plenty.
It'd be a good amount of content for your social.
Good amount of publicity for a burgeoning political career, too.
They all smile at one another. Shaggy puts his hand out.
I'm in!
Fred puts his hand in.
Me too.
Velma and Daphne put their hands in.
Sign me up.
Same.
Scooby's paw lands center of them all.
And me too.
Hey, did that dog just talk?
Cut to black. The end. This has been a 6-5 media presentation of The Studio Demands It, Mystery Inc. and the Threshold of Chaos. Written by T.C. DeWitt and Jim Berzelic. Starring the vocal talents of Travis Joe Dixon as Shaggy, Joy Regulano as Velma, Brent Rose as Fred, Danny Scott as Daphne, Scott Woodard as Scooby-Doo, Chase Hofer as Red, and T.C. DeWitt as Jenkins, with additional voices by Renee Michelle Aranda and stage directions read by Jim Berzelic.
Zoinks, guys, that was great!
Way to go, everyone!
Yeah.